Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Super Screen Bros podcast. This is episode number 10, the big 1-0, and we are live to you from our own houses all over New Jersey. Today we got a pretty cool episode for you guys. Going to be talking about some movies with terrible endings, and but before we get into that, let's say hello to the boys. We'll start with you, Jim Jan. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Had a full day's work. I'm very fucking sore. And I want to go to
sore. What kind of work do you do?
Jerking off. I do everything, man. Man. Just jerk off for 9.5 hours of work.
Just jerk off in a cup and you sell it.
Oh my god.
He works at a sperm bank.
No. I bring lots of deliveries into a food establishment.
You remember when Family Guy fucking Peter Griffin knocks all the sperm off?
That's Jimmy's job. That's Jimmy's job. They hire Jimmy for the men with low sperm count, and he fills the rest of their cup for them. So now it's a game of like roulette.
If anything, that's the most like masculine embodying thing that I could ever be. It's like, oh, these men can't come, so I'll come for them.
And that's my
job. Yeah, you're hired by the husbands to fuck their wives. You get
wait.
Welcome to the 10th episode, everybody.
Wait, real quick. Did you guys hear about that university whose initials were cum, and people found out online, so they rushed their online store and ordered a bunch of pullovers that all have cum with heart on it. It's like something University of Michigan, but it spells out the letters cum.
And like Central.
And the school found out, and now like it's just CU. And some people ordered $100 T-shirts just to get the cum with the heart on it.
I would do that. We all love Central University.
Yeah, wow, I'm reading it right now. Holy shit.
Yeah, right?
California University of Management.
California, never mind.
Oh my god. I want one of their shirts. Yo, and there's an eBay link to their shirts because I don't think they're selling them.
They're probably a hot commodity now.
Their website is cumuniversity.us.
Yeah, they now changed all their logos to CU. See, I think they fucked up. If I were a college and like for the first time ever, my bookstore apparel is actually making a profit, just fucking go with it.
Yeah, you just gotta ride the wave there.
I have to window share just so that my stream can see what their fucking website looks like right now. It's literally just like a normal university website that says Come. At the top.
Come. We want you at cum. We want your cum.
I'm watching this advertisement on your stream about the beefy Frito burrito from Taco Bell.
I missed the beefy Frito.
Yeah,
that was my go-to item menu. And then they disrespected the community and they took it away. As long as, in addition with loaded grillers, I hate Taco Bell now. They're on my shit list.
Whoa, what?
Wait, you hate Taco Bell?
I love Taco Bell.
Are they on your shit list because they make you shit a whole list out, or?
They're
on my shit list because literally the only 2 items on the menu I got at Taco Bell, which at the time was my #1 fast food restaurant to go to, they removed. So what am I supposed to get from Taco Bell now?
Everything else is good. Taco Bell, literally anything on the menu is good.
You know, like the meat from Taco Bell is like sawdust, right?
Quesadilla.
No,
stack quesadilla is pretty good.
That meat is good. Shut up.
It's fucking sawdust. It's only 30% meat.
It's Taco Bell. Get a fucking taco.
What about
I make burritos.
What's their version?
Buckland's like, wow, Anton.
What's their version of like a poor man's stack? The fucking crunch wrap. Yeah, get that. That's what everybody gets.
The
crunch wrap isn't even poor man. That's one of their most expensive things.
It's a new stack quesadilla. It's a 3-layer quesadilla and it's gourmet.
The crunch wrap is a poor man's stack from Moe's because the stack from Moe's is the crunch wrap just like filled up like a girl about to get pregnant.
Dude, Moe's is so overrated. Don't even get me started.
Go fuck yourself.
Dude, if I had to choose between like Chipotle or Moe's, I'm going to Chipotle.
Okay, I agree with Chaz here. Go fuck yourself, Kevin.
Chipotle literally tastes like you fucking dug up the ground and are eating soil.
Chipotle, I'm not here to debate Chipotle. I'm not here to debate Moe's. Moe's is better. Chipotle's ass. That's it.
You guys are whack, dude.
Well, I think Buckland disagrees.
You know what's sad? I went to Chipotle today, and they're fucking charging for extra tortillas. I'm so tight about it because my hack is I would always get a fucking bowl, and then I would get two fucking shut up. I'm fucking speaking here, Jimmy. And I would get two tortillas on the side, but now they're 25 cents each. So like now I got to spend another 50 cents on my two tortillas. I mean, I'm still gonna do it, but like, fuck that.
So besides working at the sperm bank, Jimmy, you do anything else today?
I don't work at a sperm bank, but no, I just worked. So that was it. How about you, Chaz?
What a rant that was.
Fuck it. I haven't been doing much. I've been working on like my little soup spiritual successor show while like juggling Star Wars Fallen Jedi. I just finished The Boys, which I'll talk about later at the end as well.
Did you see what like I was talking about with the
that
like,
fucking scene is even stupider than the Marvel one. I'll get into that later. That
Really?
the thing made no sense.
But are you talking about when Queen Maeve like came out of nowhere? I know we're talking about it now.
That
okay.
I
fair enough.
Yeah,
but I didn't like that part, but the rest of it was fine. Continue.
But yeah, overall, just looking at all this movie news, I know recently I've been following a lot of the new Doctor Strange and Spider-Man news, and like I even showed you guys today. There's a theory that Uncle Ben might be Tobey Maguire, so I just been like looking into that rabbit hole while like getting through some like my gaming backlog.
Dude.
But how about you, Anton?
I actually had a weird last few days. Me and Justin actually had a COVID scare within our apartment, so we've been quarantining for the last few days. Needless to say, I was one of those people who advocated for having lockdown again, and I wholeheartedly regret ever requesting another lockdown because these last few days have been horrid. I've just been doing nothing. I mean, I've just been doing what we did in the first quarantine. I've been watching movies, been exercising here and there a little bit, been doing my homework that I just
like
don't
5
want to
minutes a
do
day.
at all. But these past few days have been like that, yeah. And today was no different. I quarantined today. I mean, essentially.
I'm
I
running out of
didn't really
shit
do
to
much
watch,
today.
man. I'm running out of shit to watch.
Well, I'm not running out of shit to watch,
How
honestly.
do you run out of shit to watch,
Or
dude?
at
There's
the end of our
literally
podcast,
Interesting
I
shit,
do
like
have
stuff on
three-
my list.
At the end of our
So-
podcast, I do. Kevin,
what?
at the end of our podcast, I
was
do
me.
have 3 movies I want to watch. So, but other than that, yeah, I'm ready to get talking today. I'm excited. You know, every time we get on this podcast, I'm excited to talk about some movies, something I love doing. So, hopefully, this takes me away from the past few days. I'm excited.
I think this is the first time I don't have a movie to talk about for this podcast. I didn't watch anything within
Well, I'm
the
gonna make
last
up for
3
it.
days.
I got three for you. So,
How about you were?
Yeah, how about you, Justin? How are you doing this week?
I'm doing good. You know, we had a COVID scare over the week, which kind of sucked, but we all came back negative, so we're chilling. And right now, I'm waiting for Miles Morales to finish downloading, so I can play the shit out of that game for the next 48 hours, because that's probably the amount of time I'll end up finishing the game. I don't think I'll be able to beat Squid though. Squid ended up our friend Brendan Myricks. For those of you that don't know, he beat the game in like 24 hours, pretty sure. Which is pretty
That's
It's really
insane.
short. It's
Yeah.
it's not like the
It is
first
short,
one.
yeah.
It's,
Yeah,
it's
it's
the
very
first one. The first one's like 10 to 20. This one's like 7 to 15.
Yeah, it's very short. But like the fact he played the whole game sitting in his fucking Spider-Man onesie, and he was so passionate about it because like I remember when the trailer for that game was shown at E3 this last summer, and Squid put up a Snapchat story of him just like crying and clapping and talking. He went on a Squid rant. He does these famous Squid rants on Snapchat where he was going off. He's between November and January, nobody fucking talk to me because that's the game I'm gonna be playing. I'm gonna be sitting my ass in my room and playing that game. And immediately when I saw the trailer, I immediately hit him up. I'm like, dude, I'm so happy for you. This game, when I think Miles Morales, I think of Squid, and like
Absolutely.
and he had
Yeah,
such
I agree with that.
he was so happy to play the game, and I'm just hyped to play it because it looks amazing, and Insomniac is really treating the Spider-Man IP with love and respect, unlike Square Enix's Avengers.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to that. But yeah,
Yeah,
man,
we could even talk about that too. I was gonna bring that up as well.
We could. And but yeah, dude, I'm hyped. It's gonna be downloading within the next hour, and I'm gonna play the hell out of that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the conversations.
Hell yeah. Before we get into that, I actually had a funny conversation with my friend because he went to rewatch Into the Spider-Verse, and the debate was, is Into the Spider-Verse better than Spider-Man 2? the original, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 2. My argument is absolutely Spider-Verse is way better than Spider-Man 2. It's not to say that Spider-Man 2 wasn't the best film prior. It's just that Into the Spider-Verse took everything you wanted in a Spider-Man movie and a superhero movie alone and brought it to life, and it gave it so much character, And that's something that I don't think Spider-Man 2 did.
Not to mention before that movie, I mean, obviously for comic book and movie nerds, just nerds in general like us, we knew who Miles Morales was before that movie. It's not to mention that the general public had no idea who this African-American Spider-Man was called
There's a
Miles
lot of
Morales.
backlash,
Everyone was
too.
like, oh. Yeah, I think, obviously it was a great way to shed light on this not so new Spider-Man that people just don't know about. He's just a under the radar character.
He's been in the comics for a while now. Like,
It's-
I mean, he was
Miles
created
comics.
in the mid 2000s.
It's funny
like I said,
'cause-
people just didn't know about him.
I consider Into the Spider-Verse like Sony like kind of dipping their toes to see, like, remember when Ariel was cast and she was black and people freaked the fuck out? Like that's why, like, there was a rumor ever since Childish Gambino was Prowler, quote unquote, in Homecoming.
Yeah, I remember that.
I knew they were setting up Miles because once he was announced for that role, they announced around the same time they're making a Miles Morales animated film, and it clicked. I'm like, they want to see if audiences are racist enough to not like a black Spider-Man, and I think doing it animated first was the good way to test that. Because, like, I guarantee if they went straight to live action, that movie would have done nowhere near as well.
Chaz, you're
I
completely.
disagree, honestly, though. But like, in turn, look how Black Panther did. It was $1 billion movie, and
But
it's not to say that it was.
But Kev, that's different because this is a different iteration of one of the most beloved comic book characters of all time. Black Panther's always been Black Panther. The reason why I completely agree with Chaz, look at the box office of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse did. It did not do well, and that's because audiences were warming up to it, and they announced it. Sony was not going to announce a sequel to this film. Obviously, once it won the Oscar,
Spider-Man film, actually.
Yeah.
Obviously, once it won the Oscar, that supercharged Sony to say, okay, I think we should move forward with the sequel. But the love that film has gained since its release, I guarantee the next film is going to blow the first film's box office out of the water. And just the love for Miles Morales has grown exponentially. Miles Morales was introduced in the comics in 2011, and because of that animated film, and especially because of this Spider-Man PS4, PS5 games now, the love for this character is almost on par with. It'll never be, Peter Parker levels, but it's pretty damn closer than I even think that the creators of the character never thought that they would do.
Whoa, your mic is.
Your mic just went underwater. What the fuck was that?
What is?
Yeah, you might want to like just move a little bit away from your mic. It sounds like you were kind of too close.
I don't know what's going on. But like I said, the last thing I said was as long as they do what they're doing with this character correctly, which they are, I don't see any issues with the live action now. I think that they're gonna go great places with this character for sure.
Yeah, because like, look, if you even look back to the plot of Into the Spider-Verse, if that really wasn't the issue where they weren't confident he could last on his own, why is it that they gave him another Peter Parker to hold his hand throughout the whole entire film? Like that.
Fair enough. I can get behind that. You guys kind of won me over with that argument.
And like that's the thing where I like some people shamed Sony for that, but at the same time it's like, well, what's the alternative? Do you want them to just make a shitty live action movie, have a bunch of people from a bunch of states call him the N-word and not defend him? Like, because like look at what happened with John Boyega and the fact that like he had to speak out against Disney, and now he's shaming them into fixing their shit. Like, do you want something like that? Where, like, for instance, like, I hated the new trilogy partly because they fucked up Finn. They set up Finn to be this great character, and I can guarantee you they only wanted representation. It's the same thing with fucking Rose. They had an Asian main character, and they fucking sidelined her. It's the same thing where there's not a big confidence in minorities leading in, like, big roles like that, especially in established franchises.
They really tricked us with this new trilogy, man. Really
There was no consistency, and that's what I like about how Sony's taken the Spider-Man franchise, like, as a whole, where, they're consistent in the live action stuff. They're consistent in how they treat Miles. Like, none of these except, and I'm gonna give a caveat here, They changed the face for Spider-Man in the remaster of the game and in the Miles
Yeah,
Morales.
I don't even know why the hell they did that.
Their Insomniac's defense is, oh, we just thought it'd be a better fit. I think Sony wanted somebody who looks more like Tom. Like, first of all, he looks younger.
More like Tom Holland.
He looks like Tom Holland on fucking growth hormone. It looks disgusting. I don't understand why they replaced the first guy. Like, I get they want
the first Spider-Man was really likable, man. Like,
Yeah.
he was a really
I
like.
loved it.
and he looked like he was in his 20s. Like, that's what I don't understand is that, like, Herbs, your mic again.
Your herb sounds like it's going. Your
But-
mic sounds like it's going underwater.
But yeah, it was one of those things where I'm so puzzled on it at the same time. Like, it, I don't understand how one beloved property can handle it so well despite juggling many interpretations of it. Yet Star Wars, which essentially is just straightforward, it's fucking up. It just baffles me. Like, congrats to Sony. I haven't played Miles Morales yet. I'm waiting until I get a PS5 because I want to play it in 4K 60. But I'm just glad to see that this character is getting progressed further, and hopefully he makes it to the big screen.
He will. It won't be. Honestly, it'll probably be sooner than later, just because he's the new hype train right now. You know, like they bring out a Miles Morales film. It'll probably be a big $1 billion movie, honestly. So we'll see. But I guess we're all in agreement that Spider-Verse is better than Spider-Man 2, right?
I don't want to say better, mainly because like they're also like one's an origin story and the other is a sequel.
Yeah.
So like it's kind of unfair to compare
I've
the
never
two.
been a huge fan of Spider-Man 2, in all honesty.
See, like,
Really?
I fucking loved it.
I would probably
Now
put it as
that's a hot
the
take.
weakest of
That's
my.
definitely a hot take.
I would put it as the weakest of my Sam Raimi movies.
Weaker than 3?
I love 3. I don't care
Dude,
what
you're
anybody says.
fucking.
Wow.
Listen,
Wow.
listen right now. Everybody's biggest gripe with Spider-Man 3 is emo Spider-Man.
No, it's
No,
not
that
just
is
emo
not my biggest
Spider-Man.
gripe.
No,
I think
but
that's the
that
best
is
part of the
Spider-Man.
movie. I think it's the
only thing
funniest part of the
people complain
movie.
about on it and the internet. That is
That's
the
the
only
best-
thing
No,
people
what we
make comments
complain about is their use of Sandman, their use of Venom, which is
Yeah.
just doesn't feel right.
How
Like,
does
Sandman
Venom not
is
get
a
his own
great
movie?
villain.
like they
Sandman
tried
is
to
a
make
great villain
Sandman
in that movie.
into the whole
No,
origin of.
no. Sandman's good. Sandman, I think is
No,
funny.
I didn't
Great
really like
villain.
it. I didn't really like how they almost like forced Sandman's story into the actual origin with Uncle Ben. I didn't really like that. I thought that was a weaker point. I thought they could have done a
Oh
lot
my
better with
god,
Sandman.
that was a genius idea. Plus, the whole thing with his daughter, that was impactful. He was one of the best superhero villains I've seen in a movie.
You're nuts. I couldn't give it to that. I couldn't give it
Hey
that.
guys. So I do have a question from somebody watching my stream right now here. His name's Krothos. He says, I'm
Steven.
not the big. Oh, word. So Steven just asked. I'm not the biggest with movie knowledge. Also, just jumping into this, is there a possibility of Miles joining the Avengers as a real person, live action, not a cartoon? I don't know the answer to that. So.
I think if Peter doesn't die in the
no, that's
MCU,
comics.
I think what they're setting it up is they're definitely setting up our Peter to be the next Tony Stark. I think what they'll do is they'll do how it is in the games now and how it is in like the main comics, where Miles is the New York Spider-Man, but Peter is Spider-Man. Like Peter is the Avengers face, but Miles sticks around in Queens
They
and
could
Brooklyn
maybe
stuff.
do like a Young Avengers with Miles Morales as part of
Isn't
the
Peter
actual
Parker
core.
a part of the Young Avengers?
No,
if I'm
Pe-
not
Well, yeah,
mistaken?
but I'm talking about in terms of MCU.
No,
You know,
Peter's always a full-fledged Avenger.
Yeah, and if we're talking about MCU, Spider-Man Peter Parker is 100% going to be that focal point moving forward. But if they're doing a Young Avengers, they could probably throw in Miles Morales, because in reality, if they're doing a Young Avengers movie, the villain's probably going to be like not catastrophic Avengers level type of villain, you know? So I can see them going that route.
What they should do for Miles is, and this is where like I think Disney and Sony have to like fucking really collaborate here. Miles is the only character in all Marvel comics I think is perfect for a Disney Plus series. Because like look at Falcon the Winter Soldier, like the only reason why they work in a series is because they're dynamic. Same with Wanda, with Scarlet Witch and the Vision. However, Miles taking the role of his own Spider-Man within New York while Peter's adventuring, like you can have a full-fledged like Spider-Man movie broken up over the course of hours throughout that series, and you can develop Miles better than you could in an origin story.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
good. I mean, take.
I guess so, but
Because
honestly, I guess it would work.
for example, like take the plot for Into the Spider-Verse, right? Imagine how more impactful that would have been if Uncle Aaron and Miles had time to like develop a relationship more throughout the course of the movie, to the point where like Miles genuinely feels betrayed and there's more
Yeah,
of a
I could agree with
conflict.
that. I mean, like in terms of just movie time, they couldn't really fit it, but they definitely you definitely could have used more of that interaction between those
Especially because Prowler's death in the Ultimate Universe, when he dies to save Miles, is way better, way more impactful, and like it happens way differently too than it does in the movie. So like
Yeah.
that's why like for Miles, I want him in the MCU, but I want him in a Disney Plus series. Otherwise, they're not gonna do that character justice. Like with Peter, it made sense because we skipped the origin story. Like we didn't need
Do we
to
have
see Uncle Ben
predictions
dying
for
a third
how
time.
many years down the line it will take to incorporate
To
Miles
introduce-
Morales?
I mean, I'm sure it would probably be at least until like they're going full fledged into X-Men type things.
One thing that I heard from Grace Randolph beyond the trailer, I don't care. Like, I know that some people find her annoying, and for some reason, trolls on.
I am one of those people.
But listen, trolls on like YouTube and like Twitter roast this woman, saying that she's not a reliable source. When there's been so many instances where this woman has been correct about. She has great sources. I know about stuff like months before anybody because I get from my information from this woman, and she has heard from sources that they've already done casting of sorts for Miles Morales. To
That's
show
what I've
up.
heard too. Yeah. What
Yeah.
I think
In
they're gonna
Spider-Man
do
3.
is
No,
they're gonna announce probably a Miles coming into the MCU if the sequel to Into the Spider-Verse makes like close to like I want to say if it makes more than $500 million, they're gonna announce it.
It's going to.
I think
it's
that's what they're
going
waiting. Yeah, because I think so too. Because to get back to what Kevin said before, like where like I think the reason why we think the movie's so successful is because like we're young, we're on social media, and there's like-minded people like us, and we all like the movie. But like if you ask like our parent, like for example, my dad knows and loves Spider-Man 2. He does not know what the fuck Into the Spider-Verse is. And like that's the thing where like the older movies have that appeal, but then because it's animation stuff, it's not gonna have that appeal for like an adult audience. Like it's not like a general movie. But this going forward, I think because how impactful the first one was and how it's kind of become the movie itself has become almost a political statement of sorts in a sense for like for representation. I think that's gonna drive the sequel to like crazy popularity.
Yeah, 100%. Completely agree with that.
And also, like, they embrace memes, too. Like, the ending of the film had the fucking, what? Who are you, Spider-Man meme with
Dude,
fucking
that was
Spider-Man
so
2099.
good. Though I really wish we saw it in live action. I don't think they're gonna do it again, but that was really, really good when they did that. That was
That's
a great
awesome. I
ending.
loved that.
Tom Holland was supposed to be in the movie as a cameo, too, and they cut him out last minute.
Why?
Really?
Oh my god.
they
Is
didn't
it supposed
want-
to be animated?
Yeah, they're supposed to have him animated. It was just something Disney didn't want it. I think Feige specifically, like,
I just
jumped in
want to
last
say this
minute.
real quick. On the topic of animated Tom Holland, obviously we all know in the new Miles Morales games, the Peter Parker has the face of Tom Holland, and I have to go on record and say how jarring it is.
It
to
does not
see
look good.
Tom Holland's face, but to hear not Tom Holland's voice.
Yeah.
Listen,
It looks
if they chose to go
That's a great
all Tom
point.
Holland, if they chose to go all Tom Holland, like, hey, we're gonna the guy who played Spider-Man in the first game, like he was being an ass or whatever. Hey, we're gonna make Tom Holland the new Spider-Man. Great, cool. Don't give the guy the satisfaction of using his voice. Use Tom Holland's voice. It is so bad to hear this guy's voice. This guy who ran out on his fucking Spider-Man deal because they wouldn't get him enough money. They're still giving him money because
Oh, wait,
they're
no,
using his
Anton,
voice.
that's not what happened. That's not what happened. The voice actor and the mocap actor are two different people. So the voice actor.
Either way, bro, it is terrible. It takes away from the game a lot. I played the first 15 minutes with a friend of mine who had the game, and it is bad. It takes away.
Don't blame the actor though. It was solely Insomniac because the actor was blindsided. He found out he was replaced when the remaster was announced.
Wow.
That's
yeah.
ridiculous.
Wow, I didn't know
That's
that.
Yeah, so like
ridiculous.
that's
But
why.
the only reason he was replaced was because he was asking for more money, correct?
Well, yeah. If the game is being resold, that's a violation of the royalties contract. He's not getting
He
entitled to his
should get
royalties.
more money.
Yeah, if like for instance, if the game is being remastered, that's not the game being sold continuously. That is a new game because they redid the game. The only
I just
reason
don't
why
understand because nobody asked for this. Everyone was happy with the old Spider-Man. This has everybody up in flames, man. No Nobody wants this.
I think the one problem that I have with it is that he looks not just put the Tom Holland thing aside. Yes, he does look like a discount Tom Holland. It's the fact that this character is in a point in his life where he's been Spider-Man for a very long time, longer than any other iteration that we've seen besides the Spider-Verse film where we've seen like older Peter Parkers. But with him, especially in the new Miles Morales game, from what I've heard, it's really jarring about Peter Parker's being the mentor, and it kind of just looks like he's just his best friend who's like they're in the same grade in high school, and that he's just messing around with his friend who also has spider powers when it's not supposed to. It's supposed to be like this almost like maybe even a father figure type thing where now that Miles in the game, spoiler alert, lost his father in the first game. That's Peter's role moving forward. We thought was going to be more of like a mentor father figure role in a sense, and now that's kind of gone and dissipated because the remaster makes Spider-Man, the Peter Parker in that in the games look like he's like 16, 17 years old. It's aggravating. It's very aggravating.
And see, like that's what's so confusing. Like I understand if they were going to change the face for the sequel and just like ignore it because that's what some movies and games do, but like I don't understand what the point was changing the original game. But at the same time, that also kind of makes the PS4 copies a little more valuable in my opinion.
Absolutely.
I got one, and I don't even have a PlayStation.
But see, like now, like I'm curious though. Like
I played that game one time through because I was using Desmond's PlayStation. I had to go into his room every time I wanted to play, and I've never been able to play it again.
Yeah, but
it's
he barely
really
lived at that house.
What do you mean? I lived there for a full year. Shut up.
No, Desmond.
Yeah, but like I feel uncomfortable being in like someone else's room. Like
you're not
like,
drinking off in his cup.
Yeah, but still, like especially
God.
because he's not there, it just makes me feel a little uncomfortable doing that.
I feel you.
I don't know.
You could have got that point across, Chaz, in any other way than you use jerking off in his cup.
Well, I think that's the biggest crossing about. Like, for instance, if you're drinking a nice glass of water, all of a sudden some guy in a trench coat comes up.
But here's the thing. Personally, I wouldn't really want anybody in my room without me, like, kind of being there or being aware. Even if you are just playing a game, like, yes, like I know what you're doing, but are you really doing that? There's also that little bit of like just ease of mind for me. I don't know.
Well, like,
but Des trusts you.
I know, and Des is a wonderful guy. But
like if you ever cross Des would just fuck any of us up. So like that's Dez's insurance.
Exactly.
Like Des would just straight up be like, "Oh, word, you stole from me? All right, get in the back of my trunk." What?
It's like Snorlax using body slam. He's gonna leave me paralyzed.
What else you got?
Is that a Family Guy where Peter's the Italian, and Brian like eats like his chicken parmesan in the fridge, and he kills him over it.
Yes.
He goes, yeah, we're going to the grocery store, and they pull over in some cornfield. He's like, oh, pull over, I gotta take a leak, and he gets out of the car to go pee. Quagmire comes out of the back seat and shoots Brian in the back of the head.
Damn, old Yeller style.
Is that the episode where he
God.
dies? I know it's not. I'm just kidding. But let's start moving towards the other side of the comic book area, which is DC. And Sylvester Stallone has been casted for Suicide Squad. So I'm wondering, what do you guys think his role is going to be? What character?
They already
It's already announced.
Oh, really?
He's voicing King Shark.
Okay, honestly,
no
that was my
way.
first guess too. That's so funny.
He's gonna be
That's
so
actually cool.
illegible. It's gonna be fucking hilarious.
And it's
But
it's
would
gonna
a
be great.
shark
It's gonna
really
great.
be legible?
Exactly. It's the point.
Like, that's perfect.
Is he gonna be doing makeup, or is he gonna be? Is
No,
King Shark gonna be CGI?
It's full CGI, and from what James Gunn has said, he's playing like this. He's like a real airheaded, like just absolute moron. So
thank God.
Sylvester Stallone's voice in that.
He's a natural.
It's gonna be perfect. It's gonna
I
be.
mean,
it's gonna be
in
absolutely
reality, King Shark is kind of an airhead. Like he's
Sure,
pretty
yeah.
fucking stupid.
He's almost
so.
like the Rhino. He's kind of like the Rhino.
Yeah,
in Spider-Man.
he's just a big
together.
brew. Like that's his whole character art. Like it's like same with Killer Croc. You need those big brute type of characters,
Absolutely. They're
I think
essential
that's
to
pretty
most
good casting,
superhero
honestly.
storylines. You always need a character that is going to be physically stronger.
Yeah, he's
than the main
literally the
protagonist.
brawn of the Suicide Squad team. And most Suicide Squad teams have a character that is the brawn, Just like they have a character that's like a specialty with with some sort of weapon, or they have a metahuman or something. They always have those specific type of characters that they kind of need to fill the team.
Did you guys
Absolutely.
hear about the Justice League reshoots? How many minutes of new footage they're gonna have? It's only
Yeah, it was
Wasn't it
4
like
minutes.
4?
and see,
Yeah, it was
like
4 minutes.
that's what
I
I'm
read-
so confused with. Like, how much did Zack Snyder fucking shoot? Where this thing is like a huge miniseries, and all he has to shoot left over is. Oh, did you also hear that Jared Leto is in it as the Joker?
Yeah, he's coming
Yeah.
back.
Yeah,
The-
like
the-
I'm so like,
I also heard though that
Listen.
his Joker wasn't even really like a big part of it. Wasn't even supposed to be in the original movie.
Listen,
Jared Leto's
I
It
Joker.
wasn't.
watched-
it was just a
I
little
watched-
teaser. It did
Again,
add it on at the end.
this is why again, Grace Randolph, who gets so much shit in this industry and it pisses me off. This woman did the interview and they don't talk about her at all. I watched the entire thing with Zack Snyder. You could find it on her page beyond the trailer. It's like an hour interview, and she's the one who got the whole scoop about what's going on with Justice League. Zack Snyder filmed over 4 fucking hours for Justice League, and he screened a 4-hour cut to Warner Brothers executives, and that's when they were like, nah, this is too dark, let's go lighter, let's get Joss Whedon in here. They didn't know what the fuck they were doing. They really botched this whole thing, and they were like, oh, let's bring in the Avengers guy, he'll do a great job, and they really just did not know what they were doing, and that's why it ended up becoming such a mess. And then obviously Zack Snyder lost his daughter to suicide, so he left the production. And with the 4 minutes that he wants to add, he's saying that, I mean, it's not that big of a deal, because even Kevin Feige talks about how, like, even in post when they're doing like edits and stuff, reshoots are always scheduled because they happen during every single big blockbuster film. Every single big blockbuster film that we love to death, every single one of them have had reshoots. So with the 4 to 5 minutes being added, he wants to add more. I'm guessing what's going to be either flashbacks or nightmare scenes. From what I'm hearing, it's possible that the Jared Leto scene is going to be in Batman v Superman. If you guys noticed, Wayne Manor was actually
oh yeah,
burnt,
with the Jason Todd
destroyed.
reference.
Yes, with the Jason Todd reference. So my guess is that, and then I saw a rumor about this as well. I just added on top of it, was the fact that it's going to be Jared Leto flashback to him burning down Wayne Manor and then straight up murdering Jason Todd, which would be phenomenal, and I would love the shit out of that. And then he also wants to add stuff with Martian Manhunter that he actually filmed partially. He
Yeah,
actually did.
he was supposed to be in the
partially
film.
Martian
he was-
Manhunter's already been confirmed to be in this cut.
Yes, he's going to be in it.
Yeah.
He's going to be in it. And
That's awesome. I
Which
love
will be
him.
crazy.
he's adding 3 things. He's adding 3 main things. The 3 things that he didn't want to. He didn't plan on adding before. A little more of Joe Manganiello's. What's his name? Oh my God, Deathstroke. He wants to add one more scene with Deathstroke.
Oh, because he
wants
was the
to add-
post
He
credit
didn't
scene,
even
right?
have a scene,
Yes.
wasn't he? Just
Wait, you say one
wasn't he
more
just,
scene. What's the one more scene in addition to? He wasn't
He
in
was,
any
he was
DCU
in
movie.
he was in post credit scene.
Yeah. Yeah, he was and dude, he looked fucking
which
sick.
movie?
I was
He
really
looked amazing.
excited.
Justice
He
League.
looked
That was probably
For which
my
movie?
favorite shot in that movie.
Justice League,
honestly.
Anton. He was at the post credit scene with he gets
I
off
did not remember that credit scene at all.
he gets
That's
off the boat
crazy.
and then sees Lex Luthor and he's like, "Don't
Yeah.
we need a league of our own?" With that, so they want to add the one more scene with Joe Manganiello. He's not sure if he's going to do it yet, from what he said. Martian Manhunter's confirmed, but that was already planned in his in the first iteration of what he wanted to do with this film. Jared Leto being added, he said he never planned on bringing Joker, but he said with the way the film is coming together, he says that this will be a great throwback to Batman v Superman and bring it all full circle. And he also wants to add oh my God, I'm forgetting already. It'll come to me.
I just realized something. I for the longest time I couldn't figure out why they casted Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, and then it just clicked on me. I think that's a literal jab at Mark Zuckerberg. Because, like, for
Oh
instance,
yeah, without doubt.
Explain.
Lex Luthor is always like the maniacal, like, tech billionaire or whatever. And essentially today, like, if there's a modern day Lex Luthor with how they're trying to control media, it's Jesse Eisenberg. So what's
They're
a
all
more
weirdos.
what's a more tongue-on-cheek reference than to get the literal guy who played Mark Zuckerberg in an Oscar film and then
That's
shave
funny.
his
That's
head and
actually
cast
pretty
him
funny.
as fucking like it just clicked with me now. I'm like, wait a
Oh
minute,
wait, okay.
that's such
so
a
now I know.
fucked up joke.
It was Ryan Reynolds coming back
Green Lantern.
as Green Lantern. He's I would love it. I don't care. I don't care if the movie was a mess. He was not the problem with that film. The script was just absolute
I agree.
garbage.
Yeah, I also agree. I would give him another shot.
He says he literally said that he's met with Warner Brothers executives. It's just about planning it out, since Ryan Reynolds right now is like
Deadpool.
He's one of the highest paid actors right now, and he's just so busy with the amount of films that he's got juggling right now. But he said if he can get there to film like it'll take him less than a few hours to do this film, because it's going to be a very short scene, since like Zack Snyder said himself, he's
who wrote the original Green Lantern movie?
I got no idea, but it was trash.
I'll tell you right now. Hold on.
It doesn't matter who wrote the movie, honestly.
I mean, it kind of does, because I want to know what else they've written.
I think it was like a notable director. Hold on. Oh no, hold on. Green Lantern. Oh, that's a cartoon. Hold on. I was gonna say, like, no, she's good.
Screenplay was written by like
Martin Campbell is the director. Greg,
Martin Green wrote Murder on the Orient Express. He wrote Logan, so I don't know.
The original Murder on the Orient, or the original?
No, not the original. The OG.
Okay. Mark Strong is Sinestro. I had no fucking idea. Takai Waititi's in this movie?
Yeah, he plays his best friend.
Oh, I didn't know that.
My God, Blake. Wow, this is a good cast. Blake Lively's
Oh my God. I just realized that is Taika Waititi. Holy shit!
I didn't know that.
See, like I said, the casting in the movie is amazing. It's just the script was just so poorly written. It's so disappointing.
That's absolutely crazy.
Clancy Brown is Parallax.
Just now
realized
that is Taika Waititi.
Parallax was terrible.
They had such potential with that movie. They should have just done Mark Strong turning into Sinestro within the first like 10 minutes of the film, and then just did something off that. The whole what was it, Parallax? That shit was trash.
I mean, I don't know about that. I kind of like Sinestro as a secondary villain, because he did have a big role as a Green Lantern. I like their idea in like fleshing that out, but obviously they did.
Yeah, like they rushed Sinestro betraying, because Sinestro's betrayal is in part due to Hal Jordan years after their friendship. So like for them to just meet and him to betray is weird. Fun fact, I'm going through the casting of this movie. There's like a character just called Two-Star General. It's like a regular army general. That was played by just some random astronaut. Richard A. Searfrost. Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. Like if you look on Google, his cast picture is just him in his NASA uniform, like the backdrop in his spacesuit. It's fucking cool.
I do have actually a fun fact for Kevin. So the Green Lantern movie was I didn't know this, and I want to rewatch it to figure out how. The Arrowverse crossover event Crisis on Infinite Earths establishes that the 2011 film version of the Green Lantern takes place on the world of Earth 12.
Are you serious?
Which basically means that they are basically in the same sort of universe, in a sense, that the fucking Green Lantern movie takes place in a world that the Flash could theoretically visit.
You know, it's funny because I've been watching Arrow and Flash this better part of the last like week and a half, and I'll talk about that when we talk about our what we've seen recently. But they actually made a funny reference, so basically when Felicity, she gets in a fucking wheelchair. So she's in a wheelchair.
God, fuck her. She deserves it.
Nah, it's sad. It's kind of sad.
It is sad, but it's really barely even. She's in it for like 4 or 5 episodes. It's kind of lame, honestly.
It's just kind of like a plot point to like drive what happens later in the
and in terms of this season, Felicity really fucking annoys me, because like she's just a bitch. Oliver doesn't tell her he has a kid, and then she like ends the engagement. I'm like, fuck you, Felicity.
Okay, wait. To be fair, she's about to give her life over to a fucking vigilante, and he doesn't think it's important to say, yeah, I have a fucking.
Oh, come on. You have to look at the circumstances in it. I know we're going off on a tangent with this, but like. I'm just like, fuck you, Felicity. Just like Oliver Queen. We all want you together. And it's pissed me off because the CW did this. They made me fucking root for Felicity and Oliver Queen, and I hate myself for fucking wanting it.
Nah, I always wanted Oliver Queen and Sarah Lane, or Sarah. Is it Sarah Lane?
Laurel? You mean Laurel?
No, Sarah. Her
Sarah.
Sister.
Sarah hasn't come back in. I'm on like season 4 of Arrow and season 2 of Flash.
You guys are saying all these names, and it's just like bringing back all these memories of me watching Arrow in middle school.
Honestly, dude, I've actually enjoyed watching it. It has been pretty fun because Anyway, I was going to say that they give Felicity like a secret name, like she's now called Overwatch, and she's like,
Overwatch, yeah.
Overwatch, and he's like, well, I was gonna come up with Oracle, but it was already taken, and I thought it was really funny. It's a good reference to fucking Batwoman.
Nah, people would get
Absolutely.
pissed if they made her Oracle. You fucking kidding me? People hate her enough as it is.
Well, yeah, I know, but I'm just saying it's funny that they referenced it and that they kind of established that there's at least a Batwoman in the universe too.
There is
So-
a Batwoman. She has her own TV
Well,
show.
they have the show.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's part of that.
Yeah,
it on
there's a
Netflix?
Batwoman TV
No,
show.
it's a CW
on,
show.
it's
Oh,
on
dude,
Prime.
it's fucking it's what's her face?
Ruby Rose,
the-
Pancake Ass.
Yeah, Ruby
Not
Rose.
anymore.
You're right.
Not anymore.
Oh, it's
She's not gonna be in the next
it's
season.
African American girl, right?
Yeah, they changed it. She didn't sign for the next
fucking
season,
hated
which is
Ruby
annoying
Rose, thank
because
God.
She was actually pretty good. She played a great what's her fucking face? What's fucking Batwoman's name? God damn it, I'm blanking. But she Ruby
what's her
something or
name?
whatever it is. But she plays a great Batwoman, and I loved
Ruby
watching
Rose.
her. Yeah, I watched her in the first season of Batwoman. I thought that it was decent, but it really was more of just like an opener, kind of introducing the character, and they really brought her to light in the crossovers and kind of made her who she was going to be. And then she didn't sign again. It was like you were really bringing this character
She
to
probably
life.
wanted more money, dude. She probably wanted more money, and she's not.
Yeah.
She's like a C plus, maybe B minus actress. Like
Yeah,
you're
like
not gonna
she,
get that much.
She
Don't
got
get me
big.
wrong, she's hot as fuck.
Yeah, her 15 minutes of frame was from Orange is the New Black, which honestly she was pretty good in, but like
Yeah.
She's not like if you look at her in like anything non produced, she is not that good looking. Like and then like that's like my big thing with her. People hyped her up for her casting, but like even in Orange is the New Black, like I think her appeal was that she was just this like tough chick, and I just like it just didn't, it wasn't like a good fit for that, at least for me, for Batwoman, and it was just a weird fit. And I don't know, she was one of those actresses where I'm like I feel like you want these like these feminine empowering roles and you're just trying too hard in them. Like it just didn't feel genuine, but I have to watch it again and
I
go back.
agree with that statement, but for Supergirl.
Yeah, Supergirl, I agree.
play Supergirl.
Supergirl is far more campier than the original series was.
I have to say,
I
with
can't. I'm not even
Supergirl,
gonna like try that. I'm just gonna
there's-
stick with Flash and Arrow.
listen,
'Cause-
to defend Supergirl slightly, there are some really awesome comic book lore elements into it. They
Mhm.
bring in a lot from the comics, so comic fans will really enjoy it. You do see Superman more often than you think you would.
I
in a
like that
Supergirl
Superman
series.
too.
Yeah, and he's decent. I think he's a little too skinny for Superman, but
He's-
realistically, that's what Superman would be.
That's what
He's
Christopher Reeve looked
literally-
like.
Yeah, and true, that's true. But at the same time, when you do have this amazing show with all of these amazing comic book lore elements and all of this stuff that brings in what people love about Supergirl and Superman, then you also take this whole feministic ideology to it. And it kind of like dampens the show. Like, we know Supergirl is an amazing, strong character. We know the women in the show are strong, independent women. You don't need to throw it in our face. I think what they should do a little bit better is kind of do what the Flash does, where they incorporate more of a unity thing than just pushing everything on Supergirl, where everyone else in the show, including like Martian Manhunter, they barely matter. They barely matter in the show.
Martian Manhunter's in that show.
Yeah, he's in Supergirl.
Yeah, he mainly comes in to set up plot points. Like
That's
I
literally it.
I
And
didn't
it's
know
so
that.
annoying. He plays such a great Martian Manhunter. I think he's fantastic, but he's literally there to just kind of tell Supergirl what to do. It's annoying.
Yeah, that's the big problem with these like CW shows. They use the cosmic elements to just like introduce, say, hey, these things exist. We're not gonna let you explore them, but we'll just let our character expose that these things exist. All right, go back to your love story.
Exactly. It's literally like you're watching Vampire Diaries, where it's like vampires and superheroes. Like, but when you watch The Flash, like The Flash,
The
would
Flash
never
is a
be-
great show, man. I
And-
really like that
and
show.
even Arrow, in a sense too. There's characters in both of those shows that if they weren't in the shows, if those specific characters weren't a part of Oliver Queen's story, he'd never be able to progress the way that he does. Barry Allen would never be able to progress and achieve the things that he does without his supporting cast. And so that's why those shows work. But then when you go to Supergirl, it's literally just about Supergirl. And sometimes Superman jumps in. But like realistically, all the other characters in the show don't matter at all. Like Barry Allen matters more in Supergirl than the other main characters in Supergirl.
Really?
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I liked I like Supergirl because I love Superman in the comics, and I have so many Superman comics. I grew up reading Superman comics, like, and so for me, that's why I like the show. I like how they bring in everything that makes it what it is. It's not just some like like half-assed side project from the Flash and Arrow, but at the same time, they could have done Supergirl so much better while still adding that feminine power, female power, women power type element to it. They totally undermined the rest of the cast.
Wasn't
because they were so
Supergirl
focused
on a
it.
different network and then they moved it to CW to cross it over?
I believe so, and I think the crossover happened. They didn't even tell fans. They just did an episode of Supergirl,
Yeah.
and Barry Allen popped up in it.
Yeah, I remember that. What network did Supergirl?
And it was a great episode.
Fun fact:
It was one of
Supergirl
her
was one of
first
my
crossovers.
mains in Injustice too.
Yeah.
pretty
It was
there.
on CBS. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. So the first season was fucking 20 episodes, and then season 2 they moved it to CW. That's now it's over.
And that would make sense because season 2 is the season where she crosses over with Barry
Oh
Allen.
shit! They actually just announced a few months ago, September 22nd, 2020. It's ending.
Supergirl?
So
Yeah.
wow.
After how many
Supergirl-
seasons? What is it? 5?
6.
5? Oh,
Six
6
seasons.
seasons. of
Seeing the
Supergirl? I
incredible
think I only
impact the
saw
show
4.
has had on young girls around the world has always left me humbled and speechless. Supergirl actor Melissa Benoist,
it's like-
Benoist.
I know. Arrow ended, right?
Yeah,
Flash
but
is still
they
going
came
on, though.
to they came to an ending that like really does do Oliver Queen justice. While he's even though it's ending, he's still technically a part of the show. He's a part of the universe, and he's still working. I won't spoil it for you because I know you're not at the end, but they do Oliver Queen justice. Some people would definitely disagree with what I just said. I think they do Oliver Queen justice, and it really sets up something fucking amazing for the next season of The Flash.
Yeah, Supergirl season 6, the final season premieres sometime in 2021. They're not giving a date yet, but yeah, they announced it in September.
Wow.
I think between the two, the Flash definitely has the better stories. Honestly, like I'm
Absolutely.
on season 2, and it's him versus Zoom, and like the storyline there is just so much more fun than fucking Damien Dark. Like I don't know. I think we spent too
I
long.
definitely
on
agree.
on
The
these.
Zoom saga was one of those where you watch it and every episode throws you for a fucking loop.
Yeah,
You're like, whoa, wait,
like
wait.
every episode, I'm like, man, I really want to watch the
Kevin.
next one. What?
So you guys, this is a big discussion about Arrow and the Flash. But have any of you guys continued on to watch like that movie, the show Legends of
Legend. No,
Tomorrow?
I know Jimmy
Or
has.
the
I saw the
Supergirl
first season,
show?
and I was like, fuck that.
I saw the whole thing.
I heard it's good.
Now, what
It's
about
very-
Legends? Or
it's
what about
very good.
Supergirl?
It's very good if you enjoy the side characters like
Diggle has a big role in that, right?
yeah.
Does
yeah,
he really?
Diggle does have a big role.
Yeah,
He's still an Arrow though.
but
It's not about his role in the show, but it's about what the show does to Diggle.
yeah,
Okay.
It's one of those things where they change the timeline dramatically,
yeah,
and
and
it affects Diggle.
yeah, and
Interesting.
he has to like step up and like be like a hero.
That's actually pretty cool because right now he's like Spartan, who's still kind of super lame. You know, like he's still that side character that barely can do anything
He
to an
starts
extent.
to move up. He starts to move up as the show goes. So hang on for it. He
No, I know. I'm
eventually-
expecting it.
He
So-
always still kind of stays Oliver Queen's sidekick, but not because he's limited to that, but because he has like an ultimate like, I guess like he loves Oliver Queen and he's there for Oliver Queen and he does what he does because he believes in the Green Arrow. But realistically, he is his own hero. He just works with the Green Arrow, and he moves into that sort of role where, not that he doesn't need the Green Arrow to do what he's doing, but it's not just the Green Arrow anymore. It's really Green Arrow and Spartan. So he does move into his own type of role where he's making his own decisions and doing things that he wants to do as the show progresses. It's not just Oliver Queen's agenda anymore. So you'll see they kind of go from working for Oliver's goals to working as a team and working for their like both of their in a sense in their goals. I do really like how they portrayed him, especially as they portray him later on. And I'm really excited to see where it goes in the Flash to see if he pops up in that show in the next season.
Yeah, I mean, well, oh, that was weird. Yeah, we'll we'll definitely keep in touch with that because I'm still going to be watching. I'm probably going to watch. I'm almost done with season 2 of Flash and season 4 of Arrow. I got like 2 more episodes.
How many
for each
seasons
show.
of there are Flash at this point? Like how
I
many?
think
have
there's
they gotten to?
6, I believe.
That's crazy.
They're going on
6?
7.
My
Yeah.
God.
I stopped
Yeah, I
watching that
know.
halfway through season 2. I can't believe it's still going.
Listen,
I can't
all I'll
believe
say
it.
is Flash drops off a bit. It gets to a point where you're like, all right, does this really matter? But it matters for the later seasons because everything is ultimately driving up to this one event where the Flash disappears. And even the more boring seasons offer a lot for the later seasons. And so, Kev, I do tell you that you may have a season or two where you're like,
We'll
okay.
see. I mean, granted, I'm really bad at keeping up with shows, but right now it's keeping my attention. So we'll see how far I can get through.
Speaking
It's
of
not
keeping
bad
up,
if you're a comic book lover. So
Once
Speaking
I
of-
got to, dude, I loved seasons 1 through 4, and then after that, once they started incorporating way too much, like they were forcing me to watch those other shitty CW shows that I just refused to get into, and I was
Yeah.
they
like,
get away
this
from
is-
that. They move away from that.
it's
in
so
the later
annoying. It's
seasons.
so annoying. It's like I want to watch The Flash. You are catering to a small group of people that are actually
Yeah.
invested this much in all of the shows. You know, like it was okay at first because they were only incorporating Arrow, which I did fuck with up until like again, once season
3.
4 hit, like
He was
Arrow
his mentor.
really
Yeah.
Yeah, season 4 is a good drop off.
just downgraded in quality.
I know you've seen that scene, Kevin, the one where Oliver Queen's like, oh yeah, run all the way over there and run back. I bet you I can hit you with my arrow.
oh yeah,
And he hits him from behind because he wasn't watching his
Yeah.
surroundings. That's one of the coolest things. It's one of those moments where Barry Allen realized that, like even though he has this speed, the normal man can get him. The normal man can hurt him if he's not careful, if he's not paying attention. And that's what kind of flips Barry Allen's perspective on every situation he goes into, and kind of starts making him go from like the mentee under Oliver Queen to really becoming his own hero and learning and taking in every single I guess like event or fight that he's a part of and learns from it, where up until that point he's really just trying to understand his powers, and now he's understanding how to be a hero, and Oliver Queen taught him that, and
All
that's
throughout
why
season 2, it's pretty much him fighting these new metahumans that give him a completely new, different challenge that he hasn't faced yet, and he's got to pretty much just figure it out. But granted, there's a lot of filler episodes, man. I know they're like it's a dragged out series, but there's so many like metahumans and in Arrow, so many different like the bee chick, the fucking girl that controls the robot bees. Like, do we really need a fucking whole 2 episodes on this bitch? Like,
all I'll say about her episodes were definitely filler episodes, but she comes back in an episode that is not a filler episode, and she's awesome.
we'll see. I mean, all I'm saying is there's a lot of filler.
Isn't she the woman from fucking Big Bang Theory?
Is she?
I'm
I don't
pretty
know.
sure
I don't
she
know.
is.
To be honest, I'm not a sitcom guy.
Yeah, I think she is. And when I was watching her first 2 episodes, I was like, you casted her? Like
the
yeah, I
nerdy
get
one,
it.
right? The one that Sheldon knocks up.
No, not the one that Sheldon knocks up. The blonde one.
Oh, the actual hot one.
No, not the hot one. The other blonde one that I'm forgetting their names.
Okay.
I feel like I
She
know her from
marries the one
something
dude.
else.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. The one guy with the bad haircut.
Yeah, she
Okay.
becomes that metahuman that controls the bees. And
She's not a
realistically,
metahuman though.
Yeah, you're right, but she's a villain. But she, in a sense, her character does match up really well with her Big Bang Theory character. Other than the fact that she's fucking evil. So I do like that. The characters were similar, but at the same time, you're right. The episodes she were in didn't matter. They matter later on because they bring her back. But if they didn't bring her back, then she could have just not been in the show, and it wouldn't.
I mean, that was just the one example that came to my head. But
yeah, and
regardless,
there's so many metas like that. So many.
yeah. All right, let's move on. I think we've talked way too much about that. So, the other things I wanted to talk about is, so they just released. Actually, there's a new trailer coming out tomorrow about the new Tom and Jerry movie coming out. It's live action and animated at the same time. So
I don't give a fuck about this.
Can you explain that? Is it going to be like the SpongeBob movie, the second SpongeBob movie? Is that how it's playing out?
So they're keeping the
That's weird.
original Tom and Jerry like cartoon versions of themselves the same, but it's going to be set in like modern day London. It's very weird. I can tell you what basically what it's supposed to be. Hold on, let me find
A
it.
black housekeeper owned Tom in the cartoon. She had
so
the
here,
Aunt Jemima accent and everything.
So let me read you what it's going to be about. It's a new employee at a hotel who is tasked with getting rid of Jerry before the wedding of the century.
Oh my god.
After hiring Alley Cat Tom to dispose of the clever rodent, chaos ensues, which causes Tom, Jerry, and Kayla to team up against their tyrannical manager Terrence. Sounds pretty lame if you ask me, but I think it's pretty cool that they're at least keeping Tom and Jerry, you know, to that canon cartoony look.
Just make a new series. This is gonna be terrible. This already sounds so fucking bad. Like,
I think it'll be good for kids. I was always a huge Tom and Jerry fan, man. And also the cool thing is, unlike their other movie, I think it's in the 90s. I forget what year it came out. They're not going to be talking, which I actually really like. I like them being true to the actual characters, even if they are making it in modern day, which is kind of fucking silly.
but like here's the thing though. The big appeal of Tom and Jerry was like how fucked up some of like the violence was. You can't like if you do it live action, it's gonna have to be so toned down to a point where if they're using real animals, do you want to see a fucking cat get burned to death or maimed? Like, it's one of those things where it's a property that solely works in animation.
Yeah, it actually has a pretty interesting cast too. You got Rob Delaney, who's in Deadpool 2. You have Colin Jost, and you have Ken Jeong, which are all like pretty good, I guess, comic actors. So it'll be interesting. You know, I don't know. I like Tom and Jerry. It's I love how old it is. You know, this is a show.
40s.
Well, not. Yeah, it started as short films, and there was just such a nice cultural phenomenon that started with Tom and Jerry, and it was always really nice. I thought it was cool to talk about. And
I hope this succeeds.
I doubt the trailer will make me excited. I'll probably won't see it anyway, but I just thought it was cool to bring up.
I would like if they were to bring back Tom and Jerry as a cartoon, like a series, but like just made it a little more edgy, like cause especially like you know, I guarantee you the shit that if they were to try to recreate Tom and Jerry with the same like level of violence today, parents would flip the fuck out if it was a cartoon. But for some reason, because it's old, they think it's okay. I would like a more like. If they're gonna make a modern Tom and Jerry, it'd have to be something along the lines of Ren and Stimpy, where like they're very aware who's watching.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I feel like it would have been better if it was just a completely animated movie. I feel like that would probably get a lot more old, like baby boomer type of audience to come to this. Instead, it's really just going to be focused primarily towards
And like
kids.
that's what I don't
Which
like
is
about.
fine. It's fine, but you know, you are losing that real Tom and Jerry feel.
And
in
see,
my
like,
opinion.
this is what I don't like about these studios when they think, oh, let's just adapt the cartoon and make it live action. People will come see it. Like, the reason why people like these fucking properties is because it's a fucking cartoon. Like, if we wanted it to be live action from the start, we would have fucking demanded as soon as the technology was available, make a fucking cat and mouse talk. But nobody asked.
Bro, what, dude? First off, I just want to say I think this movie is gonna be garbage. But second, dude, this movie comes out in March, and the trailer's coming
Already?
out tomorrow.
yeah, trailer's coming out tomorrow.
Dude, it's gonna be hot garbage. Dude,
Well,
listen, good cast, sure. I just think that, like, from what Chaz said, this type of film or this type of property belongs in animation, and this is giving me like. After hearing that Lilo and Stitch is getting
that we were going to talk about that. It
I'm
kind
so
of
angry about
that's
that.
on the same vibe.
Yeah,
dude. I
it
just
goes
don't
into
see
this
that
whole
working
wave
well.
of just remaking these old like classic movies. Like Home Alone is getting a reboot on Disney Plus. Why?
I just need to know like why you're gonna like how they're gonna make an exaggerated animation like Tom and Jerry live action.
Oh, and
Like, how is that
also,
gonna-
Well, I mean, they did it in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It's
I mean,
not.
yeah, but that movie's but that's different. dude.
Yeah,
That movie's- dude, that
because like
movie's
they
ridiculous.
added cell shade animation to the like I think for this Tom and Jerry thing, are they gonna pull like animated Tom and Jerry out, or are they gonna be in the real world and be like live action?
Let me
No,
just
it's cartoon Tom and Jerry.
Yes.
Oh,
Throughout the whole movie, it's cartoon Tom and Jerry in a modern day world.
Think like
Oh,
Sonic. It's
okay.
like Sonic. It's like Sonic type thing.
Wait,
yeah,
no,
but even Sonic was like more like
no,
like-
Sonic was designed to be from that
yeah,
world.
it was more like 3D animated. This is 2D Tom and Jerry.
Oh wait, so that's what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm a little more hopeful then. I'm a little more hopeful.
What were you thinking?
Like Lion King treatment. They're gonna like just take
Oh, okay, yeah, no,
yeah. See,
that's
because that's the big trend. Because like nobody has done a film like Who Framed Roger Rabbit since Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Like that style of animation really hasn't been popular. That style of filmmaking because it's also really fucking hard to do. But well, now it's easier. But like, from the way you were describing it, that's what I thought it was. Oh, I'm a little more hopeful
Yeah,
now.
I think this movie does have potential to be like kind of a
Space Jam,
quirky,
something like
like
that.
fun movie, but it has a really
The premise is stupid.
honestly like the most likely scenario is probably that it's gonna suck ass. But I
Yeah.
do.
The director is Tim Story, the dude who made that god awful Taxi movie with Queen Latifah and Jimmy Fallon.
That
he
guy.
made the Fantastic Four movies. He made
Yeah, the
Ride
Fantastic
Along,
Four.
that garbage Kevin Hart Ice Cube film, and its
How
sequel.
garbage was it though to get a sequel?
What's because it made money.
Everything with good. That was when Kevin Hart was at his peak.
Yeah,
Everything with Kevin Hart was
Yeah,
making
anything with
money
Kevin
at
Hart
that
made
point.
money.
That's it.
So I don't know. I mean, I think it has slight potential to be like a really fun, unique movie, like Sonic. Dude, when Sonic was announced, I thought that movie was gonna be hot garbage, but I was pleasantly surprised.
Well, hold on.
I think this movie
Sonic
has
had a little
potential.
more care in it because they took the time to cast Jim Carrey as like Dr. Robotnik. Like this has like nobody's like really big star power here, and like there's also like Sonic had a lot of buzz behind it. Like there's been no promotion for this movie. Like the first time I heard of it today was you telling me.
Yeah, you're not wrong. This was announced like a
anyone
year
explain
ago.
Why Jim Carrey took on of all the roles, Dr. Robotnik, to come out of like basically like a mini film retirement? I know he's not retired. I know he's got that show Kidding on Showtime or whatever channel it's on. But he hasn't been in a movie in a minute. So why did he choose this? as his
I think
first
he's
one
just a
in
big
long
Sonic
time?
fan. I think that's really what it is. But he
That's-
also
that's, like out of nowhere, I guess.
he also didn't do a lot of press for the movie after. But that's something common because he stopped doing press around Kick-Ass 2. Because like for example, when he
Oh my
shot Kick-Ass
God,
2,
I forgot he was in that.
yeah, when he shot
Wow.
Kick-Ass
Forgot he was
2,
in that
he
too.
wasn't informed as to how violent the source material is, or the fact that he kills a fucking dog in the movie. So when the movie was time to do
Lot of
press
makeup
dump,
in that one.
he refused to do any press outlets for it, and now that's a big thing where he doesn't do press for movies anymore. He's,
also-
I didn't know that.
He also said, I saw in an interview why he chose to do Sonic of all roles. He's trying to get back into bigger blockbuster films, and he said that he is in talks right now to come back for not one, but 2 sequels to come back as Stanley Ipkiss for Mask films, Mask sequels.
yo,
That just goes
really?
back into the reboots, though, man. Like, I know it's a sequel technically, but like, I'm so tired of this trend of just reusing movies that worked back then and just
Listen, Kev, it's
just
Hollywood.
altering it slightly.
Kev, the thing is, it's Hollywood, dude. They're gonna pump this fucking nostalgia cow until it's dry. That's just
I
how it's gonna go.
Fucking hate
I
it, man.
also-
There's
I know,
no
some-
originality
Dude, but
anymore.
some of them have worked out. Like Bill and Ted 3, a movie that hasn't had a sequel in like 15 years. It was an amazing film.
I actually haven't
It's
seen
just-
that yet.
It's so good. It's just that sometimes you got to look at properties that look like maybe you could do something with them. The Mask is one of those films where I could totally see them using so much. They scratched the surface with that film. The film's amazing. It's a classic.
You know, it's
That
based
was
off a
the-
comic.
Yeah, it's based off like a rated, like a hard
Yeah,
R
it's- yeah.
comic book. Like they could do some crazy shit with a sequel, and that movie came out in '94. That was Jim Carrey's, possibly even one of any actor's biggest years
Silent
ever.
Mask sucks,
Literally
though.
he had The Mask, he had Dumb and Dumber, and Ace Ventura all in the same fucking year. Like 3, not only,
Yeah, you're right.
not only 3 good films, but 3 like famous movie roles.
They made
all
3
in one
separate
year.
characters
Yeah,
for him
and
that
he
people
was,
annoy
he
him now
was
for.
the lead actor in every single one too, which is
Yeah,
not
those
something
were-
to.
Those were his first leading roles too. All 3 of those.
Were they
And-
really?
Yes.
And also you have to think with Jim Carrey, like I understand your reboot fatigue because like I'm the same way. I think it fucking sucks. But like there's also a little bit of a difference when the studio is seeking out to revitalize a franchise and the actor himself is, because like you can tell like Carrey gives a shit about his roles. So like I'm kind of like I'm more willing to give him a pass on this, especially because like it's a reboot. it's different when like you start from the ground up. But I like to view it as if you're getting the original or what most of the original material and then just trying to do it over again. I'm like, all right, that's a do-over. I'll give it a pass as opposed to like getting a whole new actor, getting just redoing parts of the story so that way it flows better, making it a little more PC. Like, nah, fuck that. If they're gonna go back to what makes the mask and even bring back Jim Carrey and like even acknowledge that he's old or whatever and be like, yeah, or like how God of War handled its reboot, quote unquote, sequel, where it's like, you know, revitalize the story but keep the elements together. Like, I'm more fine with that.
I mean, okay, I can get up. You know what I'm waiting for, dude. In This Is the End when they Seth Rogen and James Franco are making that joke about remaking Pineapple Express 2.
Oh my god, it's so funny.
Want that so bad.
That sounds dope.
Pineapple Express 2 trailer and This Is the End is the best part of that film. Airplanes by Mia. Oh my gosh, that's great.
Yeah, I'm still hoping out for that, man. I think they in terms of actors and actresses that have like really good chemistry with one another. I think Seth Rogen and James Franco are almost unmatched in that sense. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they have some of the best chemistry in movies.
Yeah, that goes back to their days on Freaks and Geeks. So that whole group of actors, they're called fucking Herbs. You might know the director. Oh yeah, they're called the Apatow Squad, whatever they're called. So Judd Apatow found all those guys when they were young, put them in Freaks and Geeks together.
It's Seth Rogen, James Franco, who fucking
Jay Baruchel is one of them. Ellen Page is part of the Apatow Squad too, but fucking
Ellen Page is part. What movie?
I'm
is she
sorry,
in?
not Ellen Page. Who's the other girl that looks like her? That's in fucking. That's a Hawkeye's wife. That girl. Velma.
No.
Velma.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah, she's part of
Danny McBride. That's who I was thinking.
Danny
of.
McBride, yeah, and like that's what I like
Linda
about
Cardellini.
There we go, Linda Cardellini. That's what I like about that squad is that they all happened to be cast and met by chance when they were like our age. And the fact that they have remained friends and have helped each other's careers prosper throughout their entire friendships shows on screen.
Like, to deal with one of my weekly movies. There was a movie I watched, and it's relatively new, and it had a bunch of these, this crew, and so I'll talk about it later. But it just kind of goes off the fact.
Yeah, I mean, I guess with that we could kind of go into our actual topic for this week, which was supposed to be for last week, but there was a lot of news. Which is like just movies with fucking terrible endings. And so I'm gonna start off by giving one we could argue a little bit about, which is Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which I think has one of the worst fucking endings.
Aliens.
Yeah, I just think that's one of the worst fucking possible endings to a movie. I mean, granted, the whole movie's pretty rough, but
I remember seeing it in theaters, right? And then all of a sudden, at the end, my dad and I are like, "Are those fucking aliens?" Like, we're just looking at it, and we're like, "Huh?" And like, just it was the oddest thing. And like, especially like, I understand Indiana Jones dealt with the occult and all that stuff. But then to go like to the astrological, like the literal last scene of the film, I'm so confused.
yeah, dude, it was such a rough ending, man. Especially for everybody that came to that movie expecting like a really good, like new Indiana Jones movie. I was excited because
I got a new very good Indiana Jones movie when I saw it.
Really?
So,
Yeah, you're one of the only people that actually liked that film. If I remember
that movie. It's awesome.
You and maybe Jay. I think
Indiana
Jay liked that movie
For
too.
good filmmaking. I go to Indiana Jones for great action.
He
and
stuck himself in a
impossible
fucking
scenarios, and that movie
fridge.
delivered.
First of all, he should have literally had his brains.
But Indiana Jones has never been about realistic scenarios.
Have you heard the theory that he actually dies in the fridge or is like in a coma or something like that from the radiation poisoning, and everything that happens in that movie is all like a head dream before he dies?
Yeah, I think that's kind of a stretch right there, to be honest.
I don't know. If you think about it, taking that
That's
many
like
hits to
J.K.
the head
Rowling
in a
coming out
radiation
10
zone.
years after the success of Harry Potter blows up and saying, "Oh yeah, Dumbledore's gay, by the way."
Oh no,
That way the whole
this,
time.
This isn't official. It's one of those like creepypasta rumors that hasn't been confirmed.
What with? Are you talking about Dumbledore?
No.
With
Indiana Jones in that theory. It's always been like a movie
so it
theory.
has- it has
Do you guys remember the South
it has
Park episode where he
evidence
gets raped?
then. Yes, the South Park episode where they're all upset
They
that
rape Indiana
Indiana
Jones.
Jones.
Wee, squeal, boy, squeal.
Movie. I honestly have a couple of movies on my little notepad here that I wanted to bring up. I was gonna talk about Knock Knock, but I brought that up last podcast. We don't need to go into that. But how about the Titanic, dude? One of the most classic fucking films has such a shitty ending, and it's because
What?
Leonardo DiCaprio fucking dies, dude. There's room on the fucking thing for both of them to live, and I will stand.
All right. You mean shitty in terms of like the logistics of it? Yeah, no. Rose is a selfish bitch. I agree with you
Which
on
film
that one.
are you talking about?
Titanic.
Titanic.
I mean, sure, I guess, but
I don't.
that's
I don't know if you could say it's like a bad ending. It's just the ending
But,
that we
like-
didn't want after 3 hours of being connected to these people.
It's just a letdown of an ending, man. In my opinion,
I mean,
honestly.
the movie's a tragedy. So I mean, I get
The only thing I say against the ending of that is that it's against the idea that it's a letdown is that the whole movie we went waiting for the ending. We were
Dude,
waiting
such
for
a
that.
spoiler, dude. Such a
I got-
We
spoiler,
were
man.
waiting for the Titanic to collapse. Like that was why we went to the movie. We didn't go for the Jack and Rose love story. We went to see the fucking sinking of this giant cruise ship.
I got
Anton is right, and my favorite scene in the entire movie is towards
When
the end
the
of the
dude
film
hits
when the ship
when the
splits.
dude hits
The Wilhelm scream is in there. You hear the R2D2 scream. Ah! And
Yeah,
boom, you hear the reverb.
I
and
remember, and then he
everything.
just cartwheels into the water.
Yeah.
I remember we watched it for some reason in high school. Like we did it in parts, and I laughed so hard at that scene. People just looked at me like, "Yo, what the fuck is wrong with you?" I'm like, "How is that not funny?" Like obviously, if it happened in real life, it'd be fucking tragic. But the fact that it's being shown to you in a movie, and they gave him the Wilhelm screen, like that's what made it funny. What's cool about that movie is if you actually on the first hour of it, you know when they do the nice panoramic shot of the whole Titanic. If you zoom in, that was back when CGI was still really expensive. The people on the Titanic are animated in black and white, and they're almost T-posing some of them.
Really?
They're just regular animation. Yeah, if you zoom in, half of the people are in black and white, and they're just like regular, like they're like, you know, those artist dummy things that like you use to model humans. That's
I
what
think
all
of
of
like
them are.
G-Mod, like the fucking T-pose characters when you're playing like hide and seek or something.
Have like a fucking Gary's mod version of Thanos just T-posing somewhere in a Titanic cut.
Oh man, yeah.
I got 3 movies that I can think of right now that just have 3
Go for it.
pretty solid movies that have just endings that infuriate me to no end. I'll go in the order of like the films that I like the most. So I'll go 3, 2, 1. For number 3, I'd say Shyamalan's Signs. That the fact that
Oh, I thought you were gonna
these-
talk about The
these-
Village.
No. Oh, that movie's. Oh God, that movie's.
I was actually gonna bring that up, but we'll save that for later.
I didn't
Continue.
like Village as much. I actually prefer Signs over The Village. I didn't really like The Village that much, as much as I prefer Signs. The fact that these aliens came to a planet covered in fucking water, and their weakness was water, was ridiculous. That is bad writing.
Oh,
That is
wait.
bad
Oh, wait, I'm
writing.
sorry.
That is just garbage.
Do you know why that is though? Because there's an actual theory behind that.
I would love
So
to hear it.
it has something to do with The Happening. So The Happening, that movie, what's the one with Will Smith? Is that the one you're talking about too?
Would you say it one more time?
So that movie you're talking about, is that the one with Will Smith as well with his son Jaden?
No,
No,
we're
that's,
thinking of Planet Earth. That's
okay.
Planet Earth. That movie is
Yeah.
overall absolute trash.
That movie was so
Okay.
bad.
Oh yeah.
dude.
So you're all right. So you're talking about the first one. So that movie you're talking about, The Happening, and the Will Smith movie are all actually part of a trilogy together. It's a low key M Night Shyamalan thing. The reason is so
Wait,
we have to go back to The
Shyamalan
Happening for a second.
Directed that fucking movie with Jaden and Will Smith.
Yeah, Planet Earth, dude. That
I
movie-
didn't
Yeah.
know that. Wow.
Yeah, so the theory behind that is the aliens come in the first movie to test what's going on. They realize the water is fucking them up. So then the reason why they came was to plant the virus that fucks up water living molecules, or molecules that depend on water to live. That's why at the end of The Happening they say, "Oh, it's the plants that killed everybody." And by the beginning of the Will Smith movie, they left Earth and they came back. That's why that whole thing is set up, where the aliens come as a false invasion in the first movie to set up the disease in the second one, and then the third is the humans taking back the Earth.
I just think that's.
It's stupid because it's not explained, and I don't even think that's like
no,
100%
don't think it's
confirmed. But that's the
It's
theory
After
behind
Earth,
it.
That's the film with Will Smith.
Yeah, After Earth.
But with
that
that, yeah,
was
Signs, garbage. I think it's regardless. Put that aside. Just from the film itself, stupid writing, stupid ending to an otherwise pretty solid film. Joaquin Phoenix is great in that.
Wait, before you move on, let's talk about M. Night Shyamalan with just The Village, because I was gonna talk about how it had a shitty ending, but I read an interesting article the other day about the ending. And I think the reason why it was so shitty was because of how it was marketed. It was marketed as another one of like M. Night Shyamalan's like super twisty type of endings where you're like you're never gonna expect it, but then they kind of just throw it in as like a fucking prank, you know, like the whole thing is not even real. Where these things in the woods like are like almost like protecting you or something like that, but if you go back and watch the first trailer, they make it they market it so differently than what the actual movie is, which is honestly just a love story between Joaquin Phoenix and I forget the other girl's name. But if you watch it in that perspective and not as like another like horror movie with a crazy twist that you're gonna be like mind blown with, it's actually a lot better. So
I don't think it's a bad film. I just think the twist was just underwhelming. It really wasn't that great. It was just like, oh, okay, that's something, I guess. It's just, and like from the trailers, I guarantee the studio just probably didn't have confidence in this just being like a love story, because this was still in M. Night Shyamalan's career where people thought he was going to be the next Spielberg. Like they really thought
he came out with Signs, he came out with The Sixth Sense, and then he came out with I forget his third movie Unbreakable.
Yeah, that's
so
a great film.
all three of those movies did really well. So everybody's expecting The Village to be fucking fantastic and be almost in the lines of that, but it's not. It's it's very different from what those three movies did. And so if you watch it with that perspective, it's a lot better.
Very creepy film for sure. I just I didn't find it very entertaining. The performances were pretty good, and like I said, the twist was just underwhelming. So let me just finish my list real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
I got number 3. We got The Signs. Thought that was just stupid. Number 2, I Am Legend, because the alternate ending of I Am Legend is so.
There's an alternate ending.
Yes, it's so much better.
Yeah.
Where do I see this alternate
You
ending?
can find it on YouTube.
So what happens is, spoiler alert, it's also I think it's how the book ends too.
Yes,
Actually,
it's how it looks.
what happens is instead of Will Smith getting the bullshit heroic move, he gives back so it turns out the creatures just want the girl back. So and he realizes the whole point of I Am Legend, it's supposed to be a reverse allegory on the monsters, where for the longest time we think the Nightcrawlers, whatever the fuck they're called, are the evil ones, but in reality they're humans at their base, animal instincts, and they're only coming back to invade his compound, his house, just to bring back that guy's mate, because he kidnapped that guy's mate. So Will Smith realizes what's happening, and he gives up the girl to the guy. They have like a little like weird snuggle session. He looks at Will Smith, he nods. They go on their merry way, and then Will goes with the woman and the child to that camp with the cure.
I thought that was so much better than what we got.
It was supposed to be an allegory about hope and stuff, but they just wanted to give Will Smith his glory moment. Also, fun fact: did you guys catch the Batman versus Superman advertisement in Times Square in that movie?
It's the same symbol. It's the same.
Cool. That's why I'm more than convinced that was planned that long ago with Christian Bale, but they put it on the back burner. Because that was a little after Brandon Routh was Superman too, like 2005, 2006, right? And Batman Begins came. That's what I'm really starting to think that's what they were trying to do, but Brandon Routh didn't want to come back.
They were planning a Batman v Superman type thing with Tim Burton for
years.
With Michael Keaton. They wanted to do a Michael Keaton, Christopher Reeve thing, and it ended up just not happening. But last film, my favorite out of the 3. Speaking about Christian Bale, The Dark Knight Rises. I have so many problems with the ending of this film. I love what they did with Robin. I love the ending of the very end of the film.
I agree.
That
was cool.
The way it's like, you should use your real name, Robin. Kind of thrown in there a little bit, but like I liked the nod, and I liked what him
thrown in there, but it really got people's fucking talking.
It was a beautiful ending. Yeah, it was a beautiful ending. I like the way
I
that
saw that in theaters. I heard
he
that.
swung into on the rope into the Batcave, and it just like he climbs over the platform, and it comes above the water and over the screen. It just goes black, and then boom, Dark Knight Rises. I'm like, okay, that was pretty cool. But the way they wrapped up Bruce Wayne, Batman's story arc in this movie pissed me off because with the villain, what Catwoman just knocks this dude out with the bat pod and that's it. I'm like, that's really how this is gonna go out. I thought that was a total bitch way to put out Bane. I thought that was really stupid. I think they could have went about it a different way. Didn't agree with it. Thought it was really stupid. And then when it came to Alfred talking about how he would go to this little restaurant in Italy, and he would sit down and hope he would see Bruce Wayne. This is when Bruce Wayne like left Gotham City.
This fucking scene is so
so dumb.
stupid.
He said, "I was hoping, it's kind of cute. Like, oh, I wish I would see you for a few tables away. You wouldn't acknowledge me, or I wouldn't acknowledge you, but we both know that you made it, and you're happy." And I thought, oh yeah, that was cool. And then you see the ending; it's exactly that. I'm like, all right, is Alfred fucking dreaming, or is this like real life? I don't think. Like, and for people to say it's real life, I don't. Why? How would the hell? Is he just sitting there? All right, he told Selena, okay, we're just gonna sit at this restaurant for like every day for the next like 3 weeks, 3 months, whatever, until Alfred shows up, just so he could see that I'm alive. I thought that was really stupid.
We don't even know how fucking long this is after the
That's what I'm
Gotham
saying.
shit.
It's
For all we know,
so-
this is
it-
years
it's
after.
So dumb. And also, I don't know how fast that fucking the bat thing flies, but he flew out that nuclear bomb and ejected out of
To, like, the Atlantic
There's
Ocean.
no way. Where was he going?
I also
Because
there's so many plot holes in that film. That
I want to
just
say
pissed me
something about
off.
this real quick. I don't agree that the ending isn't great, but that's not what I'm speaking for. I want to speak on the fact that how did Commissioner Gordon figure out so quickly that Bruce Wayne was the Batman? There's no way he remembered the one line that Batman said to him from 25 to 30 years prior. There's no
He's a
way
police
he remembers
officer.
that.
I mean-
he probably put coats on all these, damaged kids so many times in his life.
Hold
Like,
on,
come on.
wait. But Bruce Wayne isn't a damaged kid. He's the son of the richest people in the fucking city. I think he would remember that night.
Sure,
Absolutely.
I guess, for sure. But I get your point, Anton, where, like, I've seen videos of people talking about that, where, like,
How the fuck does he remember that?
how does he, like, I don't know. I just think it's a little far-fetched for him to just immediately recognize who it is. But from the billionaire perspective, he has to be thinking, because people make fun of this all the time. Same with, like, Superman. His disguise is just him wearing fucking glasses. They need to think, Gotham City is a pretty impoverished city. There's a lot of poor people, a lot of crime. So they're thinking, who's this one person dressing up as a bat with all this fancy tech fucking, coming out and beating the shit out of people at night? How about we go look at the weird eccentric billionaire who's a recluse, like 90% of
That
the time.
develops weapons.
Exactly, that develops weapons. It makes no sense. So I guess
That's like,
with the
I wonder who
I guess
Iron
with the
Man is.
Exactly, Chaz. Exactly,
Yeah.
Chaz.
I guess
the
with the-
same shit.
I guess with the Gordon thing, you gotta like just put your sense of disbelief aside, because again, it's a comic book film. But yeah, that movie, the ending parts of it just really, really pissed me off, man.
Plus, he's also a detective. Like, I feel like that's more in line for him to be told that one line and be like, oh, okay, I'm stupid for missing all this.
Yeah, exactly. I feel that's how I would feel as a detective, and it took you this long to figure out that the
Actually,
Batman is Batman. Like,
Speaking of DC, I don't think this end. I used to think this ending was bad until I grew into an adult and understood Watchmen and Alan Moore more. So I saw Watchmen when it came out in theaters. So yeah, I had a really bad dad. Like, I saw the fucking Silk Spectre get
That's
rocked in the fucking
nuts, dude.
in
I
the
didn't
owl
watch that
ship and
movie until
everything.
I was at least 12 or 13.
Dude,
That movie's
I
rated
remember
R,
my dad
right?
tried
Is it-
walking.
Is it rated R?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
dude, you see a blue penis
Yeah.
for like 90% of the film, bro.
Dude,
Yeah,
my
but
dad
it's
tried
blue, which
taking me
means
out of
it's
the
not
theaters
real,
during all the sex scenes, and I'm like, look, I know what's happening anyway. And why I used to hate that ending was when I was a child. I was too young to understand the writing of Alan Moore. So, like, I didn't understand why Ozymandias had to literally fucking nuke like 3/4 of the world in like a fake Russian attack, whatever, to unify the world. And it wasn't until I was like much, much older and I saw the director's cut, and I had a teacher, a sub, shout out to Mr. M, wherever the fuck you are now. He was a big nerd. He was only like 25 when we were in high school. So he was like literally just like a big brother to all of us. And he actually educated a lot of us on Watchmen. He was a sub for like 6 months for us because like one of our teachers, I think, either died or some shit like that. I forgot what happened. Like they had like something in their family died. So he came and like instead of us doing classwork, we would just talk about like Dragon Age when that came out, fucking Watchmen, and he broke it down like why Ozymandias like had to be right, why Rorschach had to kill himself, and especially if you watch, I specifically, a lot of people say don't watch the director's cut. I highly recommend watching it because it does. Oh, hold on one second.
I had to ban someone in my stream.
Yeah, what was that?
But
Some dude like came into my stream and said that I look like I shouldn't be within 500 feet of an elementary school for no reason. And so I said,
what the fuck, really?
yeah, and so I was like, and you're toxic. He's like, just spreading love. And so then I just banned him. So
Do you know?
Yeah,
What an
I
asshole.
didn't,
Account,
I
but,
didn't see that part. I saw the first message. I was like, what the fuck?
yeah, dude, I was like, what? And I looked at his account. It doesn't look like anybody I know. So I was like, fuck it, you're gone. Peace.
Fucking, but yeah, well, fuck that dude. Number one. Number two, what I was saying before with the Watchmen thing, it was one of those things where I feel like some movie endings, like I used to like not be a big proponent of, oh, fucking kids shouldn't watch certain movies, but Watchmen is like now a movie I fully think kids shouldn't watch it, not because it's graphic, but because they just don't understand it. Like it's one of the few superhero movies where the heroes really lose at the end and they're supposed to, like it's the right thing. And that's such a weird thing to digest, especially that was really before, you know, Hollywood was all about making the protagonist like just get the shit kicked out of them. And that was something where that ending gave me a lot of perspective. I'm like, ah, shit. So I guess it's not really like a bad ending now, but initially it was just an ending I just couldn't understand. And I like that. I like that about it.
Speaking of endings that you don't understand, this one might be a little controversial, but man, I really hate the ending to Us. And because when you have to literally do more research on the movie to like not fully, but just to understand the basic principles of the movie, I think you kind of fail because that just means it's too convoluted for the average moviegoer. And I thought Us, as much as Get Out was great, I think Us kind of failed in that sense because the first act was good. The second act was great in giving that horror feel, that like suspenseful feel to it, but I just thought the third act was kind of a letdown. You know, it was too convoluted, and like the over explaining of what was going on kind of took me out of the movie as well.
I agree with that. I also think that movie overall, like, it isn't worth as much as the hype as it receives. I mean, I just want to say I'm in agreement with Kev here. Yeah.
The way it was marketed it was supposed to be this next crazy movie from Jordan Peele, but man, I thought that movie was a big letdown at the end. I thought it was just not as good as what everybody was saying.
I think you're all missing the biggest movie letdown ever.
And what is that?
Inception.
Really? I don't think that was a letdown at all, to be honest. Are you saying it's because it's an ambiguous ending?
Listen, this is my opinion on it. You guys know Inception is one of my favorite movies. But the whole thing about Inception is grounding yourself, trying to figure out whether or not you were dreaming or not. And as someone who lucid dreams, everything they talk about in Inception, it goes hand in hand with lucid dreaming. If you're dreaming, anybody, you guys as well, whether you know how to do it or not, there's always going to be something in your dream that tells you you're dreaming. And his symbol, his sign was the top spinning. And if it continues to spin and it doesn't stop, he's in a dream. But at the end, when he spins the top, just for assurance to see whether or not he's dreaming, he spins it, walks away from the top to not even look at it, and then we don't see it fall.
Yeah, but it does that little like almost like it's falling thing,
Yeah,
where it makes you like second guess yourself, which I actually really like. I honestly, that's one of those ambiguous endings I like.
If you watch the movie, he does it in a dream where it does that. It kind of shakes and rattles like it's gonna fall, and it flips right back to a perfect spin. And so when you see it in the ending, you can easily like revert back to previously in the movie when it did that. You can still say, well, is he still in a dream? Is any of what we just saw real life? Any of it? Like, and so for me, as someone who tried my whole life to get a grip on this goddamn movie, I'm watching it 4, 5, 6 times, like over and over and over again to understand every aspect of it. For me to still not understand the ending, leave it so open, but then never introduce a sequel, which I honestly don't think Inception needs. I think Inception should stay exactly the way it was. Should never have a sequel. But at the same time, I'm still left dumbfounded with, is he dreaming? Is he not? And that even though that question could be posed as, okay, that's a cool part of the movie, it leaves the viewers guessing. Why guess? The whole movie is about grounding yourself and not guessing and being 100% sure of who you are and where you are, and then you're not at the end. Like, why would you do that to the people who are viewing the movie? So that always pissed me off. That was definitely my pick for worst ending.
I can understand that viewpoint. It's with ambiguous
I get
endings.
that.
It really is just how you feel at the end of it. Like Sopranos is a prime example. You had a lot of people that fucking
the
hated
fucking
that,
Fade
that
to
ending,
Black.
and some people that actually didn't really mind it. You know, I don't.
It was one of those things where like with Sopranos, the ending was a little more on the tongue because you kind of know what's gonna happen. People just wanted to see Tony Soprano die. Like that was the real big thing. People just want to see James Gandolfini get fucking shot in the diner. But like with Inception, that like I can definitely see the confusion because like still to this day I do not like that movie. That's one of the few Christopher Nolan films where I'm like, all right, you took too many liberties here. I want your Hollywood card back. But it's one of those things where like I agree with Jimmy. Even after seeing it 4 or 5 times, I still don't understand it. I've just chalked it up to that's just the way he wants to do it. Because like literally almost all of his films, like for instance Tenet. We still don't know how that movie fucking works. And it's kind of a thing where I think Nolan just has this problem where I think he tries to get a little overzealous with his creativity, and that just makes for a messy
I know that you
storytelling.
said you don't understand Inception, but coming from someone who completely understands Inception, it all works, it all makes sense, and it all kind of reverts back to the idea of lucid dreaming and what you can do in dreams and what can truly happen. Like, I've had lucid dreams where I realized I was dreaming, didn't wake up, because normally if you realize you're dreaming, you'll immediately wake up. But if you can control it in a way that you let yourself continue to sleep, you control every aspect of the dream, just like the movie. You can literally move buildings, you can fly, like, because it's a dream and there are no rules. It's all about your imagination. And so in that movie, they're using their dreams to kind of, in a sense, gain access to information that they need for the end of the movie. But the whole time, it's all they're all about grounding yourself. You see the struggle in Leonardo DiCaprio in his character, and about how he can't get a grip sometimes on reality because he's been under so many times. And for me, like, when you make a movie and then the idea of grounding yourself and keeping yourself and understanding who and where you are is like basically what keeps you going throughout it, then to not know whether or not any of what you just saw was even real, the whole plot from beginning to end could literally be a dream, the way that they worked it, because he comes out of it into the quote unquote real world that he's in, but then you don't see the top fall. So was any of that even real? Has he been under the entire time? Do any of those people even exist? That's the question that gets posed at the end of this movie, and it's like, well, why? Why did you even have to show it? You could have just saw him walk into the sunset with his kids, and it would have been a wholesome ending to a very confusing but, you know, monumental movie. I never liked it.
No, I can understand that. That's like the
makes
big cop out
everything
in
worthless.
movies. Like another prime example is the Twilight Saga. I think it's the last movie with the fucking giant fight at the end where everybody's dying, and then she just fucking wakes up. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
And I get that they set that up because I grew up with 2 sisters and a mom, and Twilight played in my house 4,000 times a year. So of course I'm gonna see it, and I still to this day haven't seen it from beginning to end. But I've seen all the movies and almost all their parts, and I understand that character can see visions, can see the future, and can predict things. Yes, things can change. They can always change, and that's an amazing, beautiful part of everything that goes on with her. You can always change the future. But at the same time, you know, anytime that they ever did that for her, you would see her go into a trance. You would understand that she was seeing something. It wasn't just like shown to you and then like it was a surprise at the end that she was having a vision that whole time. They wait until the last movie to throw that on you. And when me, my dad, and my brother watched that scene, it was the first time we saw in the Twilight series something worth watching. We were like, holy
Yeah, dude.
shit,
Honestly, that fight scene was
awesome.
actually awesome.
It was
and
amazing.
Then, like doing that.
Y'all are a bunch of
No,
bitches.
dude. If you haven't seen that fight scene, it honestly is.
I have
really
seen.
cool.
I have seen
Okay.
them.
All right, so
When you
wait.
compare,
Did you
it,
not like
compare it to the other 5 movies and what they were all about, and then you
There's 5
Yeah,
of them.
and then you throw in this
Jesus
insane fight
fuck.
scene of ripping people's heads off and fucking killing everything in sight. Like going from a movie that's all about love and romance and life lessons and bullshit like that to then just throw in this insane Hollywood type fight scene to then say, yeah, none of that was fucking real.
Yeah, I think the coolest thing they did there was how much they destroyed all of the major characters, which made it so much more at stake in that fight, you know. But it's the big, honestly, it's probably the biggest cop out in entertainment when you go back and say something is a dream or it's a fucking vision or something like that. It's the biggest cop out in movies.
It's bullshit.
Going into more shitty endings, why don't we go into shows? Because there's a lot of shitty fucking endings. One right off the top of my head is Dexter. Probably the worst ending in a show I've ever seen.
Isn't that coming back?
Is it? I have no idea.
That's what I heard. Actually, hold on. Is
But
coming
dude,
back.
like the whole.
Yep, Dexter's coming back. Retirement 2021, so it's
Are
not
you
over. Never mind.
serious? Yo, that's actually kind
Yep,
of
it shall return to the
interesting,
limited
honestly.
series.
That kind of makes the ending a little better, and they might be able to fix it. But like, the fact that a serial killer who has killed hundreds of people just gets away with it, like, what the fuck? No, you can't do that to the audience. You can't. He fucking becomes a lumberjack. Come on.
I
like
mean,
Kevin's
if you think
reaction to
about it, though,
it's very comical.
that's may not be in like the hundreds. Like there are still serial killers with like at least dozens of kills that have gone on to not get caught. Like that's still a very real thing. And if anything, that's more realistic to the character of a serial killer. That's more meticulous and smart. Like they're smarter than the average person. So for it to be in line with the character, for him not to get caught and to get a job as a lumberjack, where essentially you are secluded from people, it's a great cover. Like I'm not a serial killer, but if I were gonna be one, I'd pick a job where I'm far away from everybody, have access to axes and sharp knives and burial.
Yeah, I
land.
mean, I guess it's just such. I don't know, man. It's such a ambiguous ending and just such a.
There's also
letdown.
Lost.
Yeah, Lost, dude. Don't even get me started. That whole show, like after season 1, it just dives, takes a huge dive in terms of quality.
This is why I find it so hard to just trust a good TV show because I can never,
Game of Thrones,
never
dude. How
get hooked
about
onto one.
fucking talk about that, dude? What a terrible ending.
They should have never made that show until the last book was written. I'm sorry, but I firmly stand. Or they should have paused the show until George R. R. Martin either has a heart attack and doesn't finish the book, or
Yeah, I
finishes
can
the book.
agree with that.
I think it's stupid to adapt a property. Like for instance, more lore references. When we did our first episode, I referenced Full Metal Alchemist. The original 03 anime was based on the manga up until episode 20, and then that's when they got ahead of the manga, so they went on their own story, and it became unique. But Brotherhood, which is the adaptation of the manga itself, is more closer. It directly follows the manga, and that's one of those things where like. That's one of the very few instances where one isn't better than the other. They're both unique, but 9 out of 10 times if you're that's like if they went and tried to finish the Harry Potter story as a movie before Half-Blood Prince and Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2 came out, or the books came out rather. Because like you can't finish those stories without the Half-Blood Prince and Deathly Hallows, but if they were going to go over it wouldn't make any sense. It's one of those things where like Game of Thrones was a victim of its own hubris and pride. As the show got too big, they thought, oh, we're bigger than the books. We can supersede the source material, which you fucking can't, because again, the people behind the show, they're not George R. R. Martin.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the problem with it's not even that they got ahead of the books. It's the fact that they just tried to they tried to cover so many different plot points that they set up all throughout the show in 6 episodes. It's just not enough time. They had so much on the line going into season 8, and they just just fucking shit the bed, dude. Like I can really forgive them for episode 3, which is the long night, if the other 3 episodes weren't just fucking terrible too.
I can't forgive a fucking production studio for making an episode you need a specific TV to watch. Are you out of your mind?
TV?
The Long Night is unwatchable unless you have a certain TV with a contrast thing. Some people, like, there was an actual problem. When it broadcasted originally, nobody could watch the episode because it was so fucking dark. You specifically need, like, a high contrast TV to view that episode properly.
Oh, I didn't know that, actually.
And so how is the
Millions of
audience
people
supposed to adjust to that? How are they supposed to watch that? How are they supposed to make that
it's one of those things where it's a production thing where if you're shooting a specific format, you have to convert it after. And they shot that season was shot so rushed that they just shot that scene as is. Like, for example, there's that scene too where there's a fucking Starbucks
Yeah,
cup,
dude, there was a lot of problems with that. And the funny thing is they took longer to make that season, and it still looks like they weren't even finished. Like that season was just a mess.
Cause see, like that's what happens when you start adapting from an original material. Then you have to branch off, because at the same time, if they started plot lines from the book that evolved into their own, then that's a problem. Because, you know, for example, what happens if halfway down the road the book does get released and the plot line you're trying to do is completely irrelevant, and it was one of those things where, like, it wasn't planned out properly because they didn't have the writing to go off on. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with these Star Wars films. With the reboot, it's, you know, you have an established lore, yet now you're trying to make it so, oh no, Jedi aren't special, midichlorians are not a thing. You're backtracking on all that stuff. It's like, what the fuck?
They should be ashamed of themselves for doing that.
Jedi are special people. They are picked in the universe.
World of Star Wars just with that. They undermine the entire thing. Fucking, they should be ashamed of themselves. Makes me so mad.
Speaking of ashamed of themselves, that Capcom had.
Oh, Capcom. Yeah, so
can you explain what that is?
What?
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Can you explain
Oh,
what
so yeah,
so
if you want, you can go ahead and explain it.
Yeah, so I actually, this news broke today, and I had to Google it. I actually have a bunch of articles right here. I'll pop it up. So it's not just fucking all the. It's like apparently first employee information and consumer information leaked. But turns out there's a Resident Evil 4 remake, a new shooter, the Devil May Cry source code. I don't know how this happened. So I have it up from Reddit right now. I'm loading it. Capcom leak has source code for DMC2 and much more leaked. 1 terabyte of stuff has been stolen, but 60 gigabytes have been leaked. There's Umbrella Chronicles, the great Ace Attorney series is being located. I think 350,000 like accounts from either employees.
The 350,000 was from actual users that played Capcom multiplayer games. I think it was. I forget which ones I read about.
Like Street Fighter.
It was the Street Fighter series.
And see, like, that's a little dangerous too, because Street Fighter.
Street Fighter.
Resident Evil, Mega Man.
Resident Evil was also part of that 350,000 as well.
Yeah, hold on, Capcom games. Yeah, Anton.
Mega Man as well. They did Mega Man.
Right now. Monster Hunter World, Okama, Dragon's World, Devil May Cry,
I feel like
Pragmata.
just unknown games that are not.
They're all Japanese games. They're all big Japanese. I think Resident Evil's a huge franchise. Same with Monster Hunter.
That's the one flagship, just like
Fighter.
Sega's is, Sonic and.
No, dude, Street Fighter, Monster Hunter, Devil May Cry. They have a bunch of flagships. Yeah, they're one of the big prolific Japanese companies. They've been around since
Didn't they do Pac-Man too?
Since
or
1980.
Or is that different?
That was Namco, but
right,
Capcom
Namco.
has helped produce some Pac-Man games. But yeah, with this, I'm not necessarily too worried in terms of like the user data being leaked, because like, one, you get informed by your credit card companies very quickly. It's not like how it was in PlayStation. Two, it hasn't been confirmed if it's like credit cards specifically. The bigger issue is the implications for these source codes being leaked for these games. It's not like ripping a ROM off a disc. Like, when you have the source code, it makes it super easy to pirate, and especially like, depending on which games have been leaked, like, we don't know like how deep this leak goes, especially there's a terabyte.
Yeah, because this was happened a month ago, and when it first happened, they said like pretty much nothing. There was like no real issues, and then now we're finding out that over 350,000 people had their information leaked. All these games got got leaked too. Like, so it's becoming a bigger problem as we're gaining more information about it.
You know, considering though, like how many millions of people use their services, like 350,000, that's a very small number, and I'm kind of impressed that they were only able to get that much, at least so far. A terabyte of data has been stolen, only 350,000 have been leaked, so we don't know how much has been leaked yet. Apparently, they're saying here too, which I think is cool. There's we haven't vetted the leak date in question. However, PC Gamer maintains that both the name and supposed release date was included in a calendar for a VR version of Resident Evil 4 for Oculus. That's cool because there's been a kind of a meme in the gaming world where Resident Evil 4 is like Skyrim. It's literally on fucking everything. But having a Resident Evil game in VR like that, like for Oculus 2, I think that's a cool experience. I don't know if it's going to be in first person or not. But yeah, it's interesting to see Capcom kind of struggle like this because, you know, they've been, and it's kind of sad too because they've been on a lot of gamers' good graces. They're not like Konami, they're not evil, they're not firing their big developers. They've been very pro-consumer recently with their Mega Man collections and like just giving gamers good value, making Street Fighter go free to play. So it's really sad to see somebody be this malicious to Capcom, who's like really been trying to do right by the gamers. But at the same time, hey, for people like fucking piracy, you get free games.
It's interesting going through the VR thing. I think that's really where the horror genre should go. You should really, like, even in movies, they should really start adapting movies into VR where you can really experience it firsthand. You know, that's a really interesting idea.
I will say on the PlayStation, they do offer different applications and services that kind of try to implement it. They're not good, but people are trying. So I
played the Until Dawn, and that thing was fucking scary, let me tell you.
Dude, let me say, Until Dawn was scary, but Resident Evil 7 was terrifying. I only got
on the VR, right?
On the VR. I only got through maybe 20 minutes, and I had to take the headset off. I couldn't do it. My heart was going nuts, and it wasn't even there. There were no jump scares. It's not like the Until Dawn game where there's a lot of jump scares that get you, and they do it really well. But with Resident Evil, it's all about the three-dimensional sound. It's all about hiding and trying to not get caught. And everywhere you go, you can hear that old lady fucking following you. You can hear that man, and he's coming through each room. It's almost like when you're playing, it's not like you're just like, oh, I can hear him off to the right. It's like, oh, I can hear him 2 rooms away. Like,
jeez.
It's like insane. You can ask Malcolm. I played with him, and I played with Darius.
I cannot play those games alone. I tried playing even playing Outlast. I got through like 2 minutes. I was like, yeah, I'm not playing.
No, Outlast is fucking scary. You're in a fucking asylum. That's
when
terrifying.
You're playing those games in VR, it doesn't matter if you're playing alone or not, because when you're in VR, you are.
But at least you have the peace of mind that someone's with you watching it. You know, like when I was playing Until Dawn with you guys, I knew you guys were there. If I was by myself, no fucking way am I playing that game because all I hear is just that. You know,
that's the kind of game
and like
I
what's
love.
Cool about
you know, that's a true. The word interactive like movie gets thrown around a lot when you play games like Red Dead or Last of Us or something like that. But Until Dawn is one of those games where it's truly an interactive movie because it is a movie and you're just making decisions, and that's kind of where the gameplay lies, really.
And if you really like Until Dawn, and you like the lore behind it, especially all the stuff about the asylum, especially the stuff about the miners, all of that stuff that you have to find in the game, things that you don't have to learn about to win the game, but things that if you search and explore, all these little things, all these holes that they create in the game are all explained in the VR prequel. Now, in the VR prequel, finding these things is much more difficult because in Until Dawn, the game will kind of lead you in a certain direction, but you'll also be able to see where the game doesn't want you to go, but you can still walk over there and find things. In the prequel, in the beginning of the game, you get injected with this serum that makes you trip balls randomly throughout the game based on decisions you make and if your character that you're playing as gets scared or not. And so as the game goes on, you could be like trying to do an objective where you're just literally the game is about getting out of the asylum and escaping the Wendigos. But as you're doing that and you're like, oh, you're getting close to like a door, you're with these 2 people. I remember this scene. This is the scene that made me take the helmet off.
Is this Resident Evil you're talking about or Until Dawn?
No, this is Until Dawn.
Okay.
This scene fucked with me so bad. You're walking up to the front doors of the asylum. You're finally getting ready to escape. all you have to do is get to the cable car, which is in the Until Dawn game where you go onto the mountain, you take the cable car. All you got to do is leave and get to the cable car, which is relatively close to where you are. But obviously the Wendigos can see you if you move. And they make you make a decision at the front door. Do you go first or does someone else go first? And of course, I'm a bitch. I was like, I'm not going first. We'll let that bitch go first. And so this woman, she starts to walk out very slowly. She turns left, she turns right. And then in your ears, you can hear in front of you rustling of trees and things going on. And then you start to hear the of the Wendigos. And she gets fucking decapitated in front of your eyes. And then the one character looks at you and goes, your turn. And I was like, nope. And I never got past that part of the game. I still to this day have not played past it. I can't.
Dude, you just gotta do it, man.
It's terrifying.
One thing that Kevin brought up, I want to touch on with the potential for VR movies. Have you guys ever heard or seen the movie Hardcore
Yeah,
Henry?
Hardcore Henry. That's a really interesting and cool.
Yeah.
movie.
Hardcore
I
Henry
really
was
like
one of those like experience movies where it's
Yeah.
like I remember where I was when I watched
Yes.
Hardcore Henry. You know that type of thing.
So for people who don't know what Hardcore Henry was, it premiered on YouTube first. It was a first person. It was legit like it's like a Call of Duty the movie, where it's like a guy who wakes up as like a half robot, half human, like Russian project thing, and essentially it's like every Call of Duty set piece you've ever experienced in a movie in like 90 minutes, and like the camera view is through the first person eyes like of like Hardcore Henry, which like for those of you who play first person shooters, it's like it's literally that view. And you know what I'm thinking is like, for example, like something that I would like to see, like now that VR is at its cheapest price for a standalone headset, like hell, for $300, the price of a fucking Nintendo Switch. So if anybody's saying it's too expensive, go fuck yourself. You all have Switches. A lot of you commenting. For $300, you get a VR headset and a comparable VR headset that with an Oculus Link cable can connect to your PC. For $300, if that's how cheap it is to get into VR, and I know $300 is a lot to some people for entertainment, but for technology like that, it's relatively affordable.
If VR is just not
I
there
think
yet, you know, to for the public.
No, it's getting there.
is.
It's no, but see, but what I'm thinking is, don't make a game. Why not just shoot a movie in that dimension and then just view it in that angle? Like imagine watching Hardcore Henry on an Oculus headset, except having full 360
That'd be
video
really cool.
and looking around. Or like for example, imagine playing. Imagine if they ever did like a thing where, remember the scene from Civil War where Spider-Man is at the airport? Imagine they did an experience where you're looking through his eyes in that scene. You have like a little filter for the Spider-Man eyes and everything, and you experience that fight. Because at some points he's swinging by Ant-Man, he's doing the Hoth reference and stuff, like something like that. Where I think studios should start, maybe not making full films, but going back, taking some scenes, or like making special projects and just doing that. Like I wouldn't mind watching a 30-minute experience where I'm like Spider-Man solving some crime, whatever. Like not even playing, just
Now, wait,
watching.
have you guys played the Spider-Man VR?
Dude, that is so
I've seen it. It was
much
tie-in,
fun.
yeah, for Far From Home.
All like Jimmy brought it over. All I
actually
did for
get the
probably an
sensation.
hour was just swing around New York City, and it's not even like a nice New York City. It's really low resolution, but God, it is
like a
so
block.
You get the
fucking
sensation
fun.
of like falling down a roller coaster.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
the music is perfect, and like the motion of it is so good. Oh my God, it's
Let
so
me just
fucking
say this. Let me say this. As someone who played that playthrough, it's just basically like a playthrough to kind of see if the game could work. As someone who's played it for a long time and gotten really good at the controls, it can be just as immersive as the Spider-Man PS4 game and the things that you can do. If you can truly aim your web blasters at the right place, you can launch yourself through tiny tubes. Like you can get around buildings and swing around them really quickly. Like I know that Kevin, it was like you played it like one time and you had such a great time. But as someone who's played it for months, I literally feel like fucking Spider-Man.
dude. You really do. You
And
really
for
feel
a
Spider-Man.
game to be able to create an engine like that, it's possible. Now all you got to do is make a game. The engine is there. That engine works. And yes, it has its bugs. It has its downfalls. It's really only just an experience based on the movie, kind of for hardcore movie fans who own a PSVR. But realistically, that engine is now real. It exists. And the capabilities for a Spider-Man virtual reality video game are there. And they wouldn't have made two, not one, but two Spider-Man VR experiences with those movies if there wasn't some sort of game at least in mind from Sony.
Homecoming had one?
Homecoming, yeah. Homecoming is Homecoming kind of sucked. It was a very basic experience. It actually really isn't worth playing. But the Far From Home one actually includes a mission, which is really fun. You have to stop this robot from fucking.
That's the one I
Was that the one I played?
played that on my friend's
Yeah.
Oculus. Yes.
Dude, that
Yeah, I had no
so
idea
fun.
Homecoming had an experience. That was not advertised at all.
No,
Anything
it
about
was
the Far From
only
Home one. Interesting.
advertised to PlayStation VR viewers because realistically, the only people that would buy that would get it. It was free. All of these were free. You'd have to pay for any of them. But they were just given to PlayStation VR like viewers to kind of promote the movie because realistically, that thing comes out. No PlayStation player is gonna go, oh my god, I gotta get a VR to try this Spider-Man.
Just for like a 5-minute
It's
experience.
stupid, but at least for the PlayStation VR people, it was like, all right, yo, let's get in it. It's free. It took 45 seconds to download, and here we are. Like, it was well worth it, especially because it was free. They didn't charge anything for it. And in the second one, you do get a mission, and there's lots of collectibles around the city that you can go and find. The only unfortunate thing is you can't save your progress. So if you're going to find all those collectibles, you have to find them all in one run. But it makes you swing around the city as Spider-Man. It makes you practice. The game is so immersive, and you don't even realize it. You could be swinging through the sky and then decide that you're going to run down the side of a building. And then as you're running down the side of a building, you can jump from one building to another, run on that side, jump over another building, and then literally take your webs and slingshot yourself through a construction tube, just like in Spider-Man 4.
I just realized why they're probably doing that. So think about it. Why for the PS5 did we get a fucking expansion for Miles Morales instead of a sequel? They're planning to make Spider-Man 2 playable in VR. Like
Dude,
Resident
if
Evil
that's
7.
the case, I'll lose my mind.
That could probably like jumpstart VR as a whole. You know, it's
that
really
would-
missing that
for
like.
PlayStation 5. People who decided not to get that system may just get the system because they have PS VR headsets that are compatible. I don't have to get another headset to play VR on PS5. The only downfall is
What if in a year from now? What about in a year from now when the PS5 is more marketable and there's not as many open launch bugs or anything? They start releasing PS5s with VR. It comes with the VR.
So the rumor is that PSVR 2 was supposed to be announced alongside the PS5, but like that announcement has been pushed indefinitely. Like, but it's made, like it's confirmed that it exists among like inner sources. So what I'm thinking is, and like no, they even confirmed there was a Spider-Man sequel in the works, but they've said nothing about it. Like even before Miles Morales got announced, they're like, oh, there's a sequel coming out. We're announcing something else though. It's not the sequel. That's what I'm more inclined to believe because they've been so hush-hush about this. Like with the development for Spider-Man, they were so open, but the Miles development was just done very quickly. And I know they're confirmed still working on another Spider-Man game. I'm convinced now, the more I think about it, they're planning to make all the next one playable
think about
in
it like
VR.
this. They made one engine that sucked. Then they made another engine that was really good. And of course, it was just an experience and it was free. But what would that really be? It wasn't really about promoting the movie. What was that really going to do in promoting the Spider-Man movie that they already haven't done themselves? Like,
and besides, it came out after Avengers Endgame. You don't need any fucking promotion for that.
everyone knows about the movie. So why would they even build that engine? Not waste money, but spend money building that engine for a virtual reality Spider-Man video game to then launch an Iron Man VR game that overall was pretty successful. Obviously, there aren't too many PSVR users when you compare them to the amount of video game players that exist. But in the PSVR community, it was very successul. I still play that game regularly, and it's amazing. And if they can make Iron Man in VR that amazing with a 180-degree headset, not a 360 like the Oculus, a 180-degree headset, they can do a game like that. They can do Spider-Man easy. PSVR 2 is supposed to be wireless. It's supposed to be 360 degrees. These games are going to completely change. It's going to be just like the Oculus where you can like map out a location and, walk around your room. If you think that a Spider-Man VR game isn't possible or isn't in the works, you're probably wrong. I am so set on it. I ship it so hard. Let's fucking go. I want to play Spider-Man in VR.
I would be more surprised if they go out and they just deny it. Like, no, it's not
That's the
happening.
thing.
I would be more surprised about that.
Since that engine was built, have been contacting Sony and trying to get them to make a comment on it, and they have not made a comment. They won't confirm
Exactly.
or deny.
And like with stuff with like God of War, for example, or like fucking what's the one with the girl Aloy, Horizon Zero Dawn. They're always super quick to talk about that. But Spider-Man's the one, like, they're hushed, especially with the Square Enix thing too and the Avengers controversy. Like, they're super hushed about that.
Did they lose
So
like $50 million off of the Avengers game?
yeah,
Like
they
that?
lost a lot of money on the Avengers game, and that I'm not surprised. It's the same fucking problem with Destiny 2. You can't these games as services don't fucking work if you're paying $60 for a game. Like, I don't understand why these developers have a hard time understanding that, and especially like I get the Avengers can in a sense be a multiplayer-esque game like that, but at the same time, as somebody who's been a big fan of the X-Men fantasy series or X-Men Alliance and Marvel Ultimate Alliance games as well, it's one of those things where the type of game they were trying to make has already been done and arguably so much better. It's like, why would you
talking
change
about
the formula?
the DC one that was like super popular on the PC like years ago? I forget what it's called.
No. Marvel has a similar line of games called Marvel Ultimate Alliance that follow. The first one's an original
No,
story,
I'm
but
not
the
talking
second game
about
follows
Ultimate
more the
Alliance.
similar.
I'm talking about the open world where you can like make your own superhero.
Oh, DC
Yeah.
Universe. Oh no, that's a little different. That's more of an MMO. That's a little different. With Avengers, they want you as a games and service, and MMOs are a little bit different, but kind of the same. MMOs you're not expected to pay for, aside from your like monthly membership, if there's even is one. Games as a service, that's when a game is presented as, let's view a game as a store, where you know you can browse the store freely, but if you want something you have to pay for it off the shelf. That's the best analogy I can give for a games as a service. It's free to get in the store,
Yeah.
but if you want something you got to pay for it, and that's the big
It's like
difference.
any
where
mobile game.
especially a property like the Avengers, you know, and this was their big mistake, trying to make a whole new Avengers team after the heels of the MCU's success. Like, you know, you can't convince a whole populace of people, especially gamers, who more than likely overlap with the MCU fan base. It's a hard pill to swallow. Oh, here's the same team but a little different, and if you want them to look even cooler, give us another $40 on top of the $60 you paid. Like, that's the big issue, where if, for instance, if I were to go to see Avengers Endgame or any Avengers film, $12 and I have my complete film experience. If I buy this game, $60 and in order for me to keep playing with my friends and get the new characters, here's another 30. Like, that's the problem. Like, at that point, you don't nickel and dime hardcore fans like that. Especially, I remember you guys were talking about earlier in the chat, the PC players are low. That's a big issue with PC players too, where PC players are a little more finical than console players, where we are not willing to spend money on games at all. Like, there's a reason why a lot of us stick to PC only, because for piracy. Number two, the games are always on sale. If you're trying to give us a game that's riddled in DRM, and for people who don't know what DRM means, digital rights management, I think it has Denuvo. Denuvo is this like crazy software that it's meant to limit piracy. You have to log into a server, but because that software runs in the background, the game literally runs like a kid in a wheelchair fell in a pool. It runs terribly. And that's the big issue, where if the game runs like shit because you're so scared of us pirating it, one, we're gonna pirate it and fucking make the game better anyway, which it's sad. The pirated version of Avengers runs 5 times better on PC than the Steam version does, which is fucking sad. Two, you know, they're trying to push it more towards console players, but at the same time, console players have Fortnite, console players have Destiny, console players have Apex. There's already so many other games vying for that games as a service thing, where the only hook literally for this is the Avengers tagline. And the fact that the single player game itself, while the campaign I heard was good, was still missing things. If the thing that hooks your players in isn't good, and the thing that you're expecting your players to stay for is literally worse than paying your rent, like, why are we surprised this game did so shitty?
I don't think we should be surprised, because the game was destined for shittiness from the start. No one was excited about it to begin with, so.
I'm gonna beg to differ on that, because I was watching the E3 live streams in 2015 actually, when the game first got announced, and I remember the hype. Like, there was hype around this game it's how long this game's been in development, for 5 years, and then the game went silent for 3. And then it wasn't until we got the first round of footage where the gameplay, people were hyped around the gameplay. People were not hyped around the design. So then that became more of a curiosity thing. And then as more of the game's information came out, it wasn't until literally a month or two before the game came out when it was revealed it was a games as service game, where people stopped giving a fuck about it.
Dude, this whole time I've been trying to figure out whether or not there's going to be a Spider-Man VR game. I've been
No, like,
looking it
it's-
up, and I'm like, all I see are obviously the experience, and I see people begging for one, but that's it.
And see, like, that's the thing, the fact that, like, there's not even rumors online, like it's you can always dismiss something when there's so many rumors, but you can't dismiss something when there's nothing there. And that's the big thing, the fact that this is like such like a nobody's talking about it thing within the industry. It's, oh, please let it happen. I'm like, I don't know, this is a little
This is
too
my
quiet
take
for
on
me.
it. The first one was obviously more of a grab for, you know, the movie, kind of to promote the first Spider-Man movie. I totally get that. The first one sucks. It's like 5 minutes long. You actually like use your webs like 4 times in all of the 5 minutes. Like, it's actually really bad and very disorienting. But then for them to completely revamp it and make it completely playable and fun, and I just actually researched it. I know that Kev said he'd be right back, but
I'm
you
here.
can
I'm
actually-
here. Sorry.
Oh, you can actually play it on Oculus Quest through Steam if you have like
What the PlayStation? The Spider-Man one?
Spider-Man. Yeah, I just looked it up. You can play it on PC. So you
I'm
can
gonna
technically
have to
play it
do
on
that.
yours, and they say that it actually runs a little bit better on the Oculus than it does the PlayStation. It's a little bit
Dude,
more.
I haven't played my Oculus in months. I
Well,
remember,
you
dude.
can figure it out.
I
You can play
was
that game.
a
I remember when you got
beast
the
at
Oculus,
Beat
Kevin,
Saber.
how excited you were. You were so on to that thing when you first got it.
Cause dude, let me tell you, it was cause of Jimmy, cause Jimmy brought his game over, and I was obsessed with Beat Saber. I got so dumb good at that game. It was like fucking like a work, dude. It was so good. That game
Dude,
was
it was one
awesome.
of those things where like I'm never really that competitive when it comes to video games. I don't really play many competitive video games, but I thought that I was really good. I played on expert. Then Kevin comes out of the fucking woodworks and he's playing on like expert plus and like speeding up the shit and playing custom tracks and songs. And I'm like, bro,
Dude, I literally got dumb good at that game. I was like ranking like top like maybe like 500 or something like that in the world, dude. I was going nuts on that game.
yeah, it was insane. Like I would actually like if I knew I was like gonna go to his apartment to play VR, I would like play Beat Saber for like 2 days before to like just kind of work myself up because I knew I would want to play the custom songs that he downloaded, but I also knew a lot of them were on expert and they were really hard. Like what was the one from Shrek 2?
The
What was
best
that song?
all right, so Rap God was really good. It was the whole song, super fucking nuts. My favorite one was Holding Out for a Hero, dude, because it did this thing where
I'm going out for a hero till the end of the
That
night.
song was
Oh
so
my
much
God.
fun because
I-
it wasn't like the other songs in the game where yeah, sometimes it felt like sword fighting and then you know sometimes there was that really cool beats that you would find, but with this one, the movements they made you do were just so clean and smooth.
Yeah, that was the best part about the game because all the movements just felt like so natural. Like it was just flawlessly just moving your hands, like just swinging them, and it just felt so smooth. I
If
fucking
you've
love
ever
that game.
played Guitar Hero at any time in your life and enjoyed it, you need to try Beat Saber. Like it's Guitar Hero with lightsaber.
Yeah, it's literally like Beat Sabers, but you're wielding
Motion
a
control,
fucking sword.
motion control Guitar Hero. That's how I like to say it.
Yep.
Dude,
and dude, you
I-
build a fucking sweat. You'll play for like an hour and you will be drenched.
I need to play
Correct.
that game again. I wonder if I still have it.
Oh, you definitely still have it. You might have to update it.
Fucking love that
There's
game.
so many
dude.
new
I
games. They
played
include
that
like Green Day
so
tracks.
much.
Like
Yeah,
It's
I
good.
think the best free one. First off, there was this really fun K-pop song that I got really good.
oh, I know exactly which one you're talking about. It's the one of the best songs that they have in the game.
I don't know how it goes.
It's
Pop
so good.
Stars, that's what it's called.
Oh yeah,
Pop
you're right.
Stars.
You're right.
That song honestly was low key pretty good, but
It's a great song.
the other really fun one that actually was really tough to beat for me was Warriors by Imagine Dragons because there's this that one part where and it's just really hard to fucking keep up with it because if you lose your momentum, you lose a beat for a second, you lose. Really
Yo,
fun
there's
game.
apparently Beat Saber's coming out with multiplayer.
Oh, dude, don't get me started. I'm gonna fucking shit on some kids. I gotta bring that back out. I gotta try that game again.
Right now, it's only on PC, so technically you have it.
Eight.
I don't have it yet on PSVR. I'm looking at it now.
I might try playing that this week. Actually, I'm now in the mood to fucking beat some sabers, dude.
Oh my god.
Beat some Sims.
Yeah.
I love that game. All right, but anyway,
No,
I think it's time to kind of move into our last section, which is what have you guys been watching over the past week? Well, I guess 3 days.
I as I told you before, I got caught up with The Boys season 1 and 2. I fucking hate this show.
Really?
Shut
I
up,
think
dude, shut up right now.
I think it's trying too hard to be Watchmen. I think that's my issue. It's trying to be too much of a social commentary. Like I was all in it, but especially it fell apart in the second season. Like first of all, they're shoving in the plot points with Billy Butcher's dad out of literally fucking nowhere. The scene that I was talking about last week that was in response to the female power scene. And their big response was it was so impractical. They're all on a battlefield. Queen Maeve literally is miles away in her fucking apartment and out of nowhere, and it's established she's one of the weaker ones on the show. She can't fly, she can't do any of this shit.
Yeah, that part.
Yet she's
I agree with
somehow
you. She did come out of nowhere, but the rest of that scene, I thought worked really well.
Please tell me right now if this is true or false, because I know it is a fact. How the fuck did 2 seasons of this rated R The Boys show on Amazon do a better job of doing a girl power scene than fucking Marvel did in Endgame?
That's exactly
11
what
years
I'm
I
saying.
disagree. The scene made even less sense.
No,
At least they were all on the
you're
battlefield.
I'm
Chaz,
adjusting
you are
here.
wrong as hell, dude. I'm sorry, dude.
That scene made even less sense, and especially if Stormbreaker is that fucking strong, how is the Asian girl whose only power is death grip able to survive all these fucking shocks? Like, there's so many inconsistencies
Black Noir ripped
throughout.
her in half. She's like Wolverine. She just has these healing capabilities. Dude, she had her neck snapped.
She's like almost
dude.
as insane as Black Noir. We really don't know like her true power yet.
I'm just saying, I have not watched a show with people or any form of entertainment besides, like Marvel, where I was sitting in the living room with Sikenzi, a few other people in my apartment, and we watched that last episode of The Boys. That fight scene, along with that entire episode, and a lot of scenes in that second season, we were just geeking out, like flipping out. And
I agree, man.
The fact that the show has been able to just pull people in and pull me in so strongly in just one season, I was hooked. I'll agree with you, Chaz, that season 2, when it came to its social and political commentary, it's kind of downgraded a little bit more into like the more profane and like really vulgar violence that season 1 was like. They had it in spades, but season 2 it just went like full.
Yeah, season
crazy.
2
They were so
too far over the top.
I think they're gonna.
They were so on the nose with the political commentary. The fucking Nazis are the literal villains. I rolled my eyes so
I get what you're
hard.
saying. It's not. There are some inconsistencies with that, especially. I like a lot of the commentary, but I feel like they weren't getting their message across as well in the second season as they were in the first. I think with how much they're trying to build with this television series, I think they're going to go a little bit more, especially with how the season 2 ended. I think they're going to smart up a lot more season 3. And this show is going to get so much better. And I just think it's some of the best entertainment on television.
Yeah, man, I agree. I think
get
it's
enough of it.
probably
I
like
can't
the
get enough
best
of it.
show out there. For me, it's probably this and Ozark are my 2 favorite shows that are currently like running now.
What I'm confused of, all right, how is like Asian girl able to be ripped apart and be fine, but Stormbreaker gets so fucked up, all of a sudden she reverts back to speaking
that was
German,
nuts, dude.
and like is like I'm literally watching and I'm like, none of this shit is making any sense. I was into it until halfway. The only cool part of season 2 is and I thought this was cool. The actress who plays the congresswoman, who's actually the one blowing people's heads up.
Oh, it's pretty cool.
She's from Call of Duty Modern Warfare. She's Farah. She's Farah.
Oh no shit!
Yeah.
She's from what? Wait, hold on.
I recognized her, but
She's in the new Modern Warfare.
She's from Modern
video
Warfare.
game.
Oh, interesting.
yeah, she's
No
from last year's game. She's
shit, that's
Farah.
actually pretty
She's
cool.
the girl you play with. Yeah, I was looking at her. I'm like, why does she look? And like, the nose looks so familiar. Then I recognized her. I'm like, oh, she's from the fucking game. And I thought that. And see, that was the coolest plot twist of it because I had no
wasn't
idea
expecting
she was
her
like,
either. They made it out to make it look like Stormfront. Even when you're dissecting that scene in the trial, they literally make it look like Stormfront is looking at these people and blowing their heads off.
No, but see, with
Yeah,
Kimiko, she was
That's her name.
experimented on with her brother. So I feel like we're gonna end up getting more backstory about what happened with her.
So how did her brother get mollywopped so
Because
easy then?
Compound V affects people differently. Some people get weird ass powers that are so stupid, like the dude who got the massive dick that like dude, that shit killed.
That was fucking awesome.
Like,
That was the
this show
funniest
is
scene in season
the
2.
show with its, like with being so vulgar, it is so. This is one of the boldest television shows I've ever seen. It doesn't always hit. Sometimes it falls flat. But there are a lot of times where I'm watching this show and I'm like, are they really going to go there? And they fucking go there and they don't give a shit, man. Like, one of the boldest television shows out right now. I just love the dynamic of these characters. I love Carl Urban as Billy the Butcher. Love him so much.
He's good.
Honestly,
good.
dude, I think Anthony Starr has been a great Homelander.
Anthony Starr, pun intended, is the star of the show, dude.
Yeah,
He just
100% agree.
He is Homelander is such a nuanced character, and
He's fucking jerking off over
And
the
I think
skyline at
he's
the end.
really
That was a cool
known
scene.
in the like actor community, man. Like honestly, I want to see more of this guy, dude.
dude, so good. And he's old, dude. He's been in the business for a while. He's like in his like mid 30s, bro. He's been around for a while. I want to see more of this guy. No, he's in his mid 40s. Anthony Starr. He's 45.
Really?
Yeah.
What's he been in? Let me look it up.
He looks like he's
I haven't
20.
seen it. He's trying to push to be Wolverine.
That's because they make him as clean
Yeah, I
cut as
heard
possible.
that he does want to try and be
follicles.
Wolverine.
He wants Wolverine, but the thing is, he's way over 6 foot, and I know they're gonna go more comic book accurate when it comes to the Marvel films. I'm dead set on that's definitely what Kevin Feige.
Yeah, I'm looking at his movies. He doesn't really have any movies that are even worth looking into.
I love this cast. I love the characters. They've really made you. It's hard in such a short period of time to get you to care so much about characters, and the character development throughout just one season is so apparent and just so in your face. And I'm loving what they're doing with this show, man. Episode after episode, it's just more crazy shit going on. And the political. I wish moving forward. Some reviewers that I've watched have even pointed out that the political and social commentary has kind of, been a little contradictory and hasn't really, hit the mark that they're trying to make. But I think moving forward with the show clearly going into a more political background moving forward, especially with how season 2 ended, I think they're going to smart up. I think it's just going to get even crazier, and I'm just so psyched. I love this show. Absolutely love it.
I also don't understand why they parodied Scientology. Like I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, why is this relevant to this show? Other than like they needed another organization. Like I was so confused.
Maybe
on
it'll
that.
pop up
Like,
later.
It'll probably be.
I think they're building up so much because they're dude. This is Amazon's baby, dude.
I completely agree.
Dude, they already got two spin-off series already planned for this show. Like, dude, they want
Really?
to and I get why, because there's just so much you could do with the series.
Yeah,
like this.
and there's good world building there too. Like there's a lot of content
they're gonna build the shit out of this universe, and I'm psyched for it because, dude, I could not stop watching season 2, and season 2 is not as smart and not as relevant as season 1 is, but season 2 is just so fucking bonkers and just so in your face and so bold and exciting. I could not believe what I was looking at, and I was loving every minute of it, and I am so psyched with what Amazon's going to do.
Honestly, I think a big reason why season 1 is so good is really because of Elizabeth Shue. I think she was one of the outstanding performers right next to Anthony Starr for season 1, and it's a shame I understand why. Actually, I won't try and spoil it, but I guess I don't know. I thought she was one of the more standout characters.
Just fucking say it. Just fucking say it. It's been forever. If you haven't watched it yet, everybody has Amazon Prime. Everybody wants the free shipping.
There's no way to avoid spoilers on this
No,
fucking
there's not,
podcast.
dude.
I don't have
It's a
Amazon
movie
Prime,
podcast.
but I am
It's
not
about
going to watch
media.
the show anyway. I have not
Anton just
watched
refuses to watch the show because he thinks he's like a fucking hipster or something.
No, see, Justin just likes
Well-
making these ideas up in his head to make him seem normal. I just don't have any interest in it.
You're
That's
a
all.
loser. He literally watched a bunch of episodes.
I promise you,
We got
Anton's
his
not that
girlfriend
good.
watching the show within to her watching literally one episode in this apartment. Anton's like, wow, this show seems pretty cool. I might watch some episodes. And now he's taking back what he said. So You're being a hypocrite.
No, I don't take
Anton.
back what I said. I just don't have any interest in it. I thought the one scene was cool where Carl Urban described Homelander raping his wife was interesting, but after that, I was like, that's not enough.
I
Not
still
enough for me.
think she fucked him on purpose, and like that's gonna get revealed later.
could.
I still
Probably.
think she
That's
would.
it. That yeah.
That would be a
I-
dark twist. That
I
would be a
am so
dark
convinced because
twist.
she is way too nice. Granted, he can probably rip her in half if he wanted to, but like she's way too nice to the dude who raped her. I'm sorry, like something there doesn't make, and especially like even when she tells Billy, "Oh yeah, he raped me," I'm like, "You sure
I don't know.
about that?
I think
Sure
the
about
truth.
that?"
I really think Homelander probably would have said that, especially since she's dead now. I kind of think her story arc's probably done. I think they're going to move on more with the son now. Actually, I think my guess is the son's probably not even going to show up in the next season. I think they're going to build him up for something crazier, like moving forward. He might end up killing Homelander, like whenever the season, the series finale is, which is not going to be for another 15 years, and so they're going to stretch this shit out for as long as possible.
That's a very good possibility because the thing with Stormbreaker sets up that he can
yeah, and
damage
did you
Homelander.
see how Stormfront looked in that when she was like lasered? What did she look like?
She looked like fucking
Yes,
like
I'm
Anakin
telling
at the
you,
end
she's
of
gonna
episode
come back
3.
in some crazy fucking outfit and
Dude,
and
Darth
that,
Vader.
that scene where there's
she mentioned the Death Star. She said that in that episode. So I'm telling you, they're doing some
Captain
Star Wars shit
Phasma.
right there.
They're gonna give her armor that looks like Captain Phasma. I fucking call it.
what was that? I think you cut out.
But they're gonna give her armor that looks like Captain Phasma's. I fucking call it. But besides the boys, I also watched literally the second I finished the boys, I was like, oh. I'm kind of disappointed. I went on Netflix. Chappelle's show just launched on
Dude,
Netflix that night.
I've already been through the first season, dude. I love it. Love it.
I saw all three. I saw all three already. I watched them all like in a few days while I was writing.
I was never a
and
big Dave
it's-
Chappelle fan.
Dude, Dave
honestly.
Chappelle is the best. He is, besides, I'd say maybe like Richard Pryor. I consider Dave Chappelle the greatest comedian that ever lived. That's just my opinion.
I agree with that, especially because for me, like I have a different perspective where a lot of my friends growing up, like, our parents were those stereotypes, those minority stereotypes. And one, it was refreshing to see non-PC humor, even though it was meant to be in an educated way. Like for instance, a lot of people don't know the history of Dave Chappelle. After season 2, he was given, and at the time was record breaking, a $50 million contract from Comedy Central to do season 3 of the Chappelle Show. However, he had like a whole mental breakdown. He really wasn't cool about being famous, so he quit the show, moved to Africa. So season 3 is just 3 episodes of sketches he did. And one of the big reasons too why he had to walk away was there is this, and the thing is shown in season 3. Have you guys ever heard of the Dave Chappelle Black Pixie sketch?
Oh yeah, dude.
Yes.
He talks about that one of his stand-ups,
So-
dude. He's
Yeah, so the Black Pixie sketch is a sketch where whenever there's like somebody of like a racial stereotype there, they have like a little pixie, like their conscience on their shoulder. That's their embodiment of their stereotype. And it makes them do their stereotypical things. Like there's one where Dave Chappelle is on an airplane and like the black pixie pops up, and instead of him ordering the fish on the plane, he convinces him to get the chicken or whatever. And the big controversy was like, even though the white people had their own, like the Hispanics had their own like pixie too, where they made fun of like their music and like how they are and stuff, but the white pixie was more of a generic thing. And like even though like it was meant to be offensive, it's really hard to make fun of white people. Like the way like people make fun of like African Americans or Asians or Hispanics.
It's pretty easy to make fun of white people. What do you mean?
No, because so back then, because the argument was like they were making fun of like his dancing, him being awkward, and they were just generic insults. And like the argument was like a lot of like they even asked the audience during the episode, and the insults feel too generic, like, oh, he's quirky, he's a bad dancer. But like for black people, you're specifically saying they like chicken, you're specifically saying Hispanics are lazy, whatever. Like there were more derogatory jokes, as opposed to the white people. It's like, oh, you're just bullying me, and like it was one of that where he was actually posed like a big question or a big problem where he realized that the jokes were right, but they were being used incorrectly by the wrong type of people. Like they were justifying, see that? Like he, at one point, somebody went up to him. He's like, I knew all of them were like that. And he realized, oh shit, I might be doing the wrong thing here. And that's when he kind of freaked out. And it's kind of interesting seeing, because once you go like season 1 is a little rough in terms of some of the sketches, but the prime is in like seasons 2 and like the end of 1 season 2, and just seeing the progression of these jokes get better and better. And I was also surprised to find out that some of his most famous sketches, like Black Bush, actually Black Flatbush was famous, but like the racial
one
draft,
of
for
the
example,
best,
like that's a
dude.
famous
That
Dave
is
Chappelle sketch now.
genius.
Apparently that one wasn't popular
Which
back
is
then.
ridiculous, dude. That's one of the
It's,
best written
the
episodes.
Wu-Tang joke is the funniest joke. We, the Asian delegation, nominate the RZA, the Wizard,
Wait,
the
what?
Dog, the Wu-Tang Clan.
I'll be honest, I've
Like,
never
that's-
really like looked into Dave Chappelle because I think I saw his Netflix special and I really just wasn't a fan.
I gotta say it. His show is great, but I've watched 2 stand-ups of his now, and I just didn't like.
Yeah,
laugh at
I'm
either
on the
of them.
same boat as Andrew. I
because
don't really
his-
like his stand-up.
his stand-ups, they're really, his stand-ups are a little different. It's more of like what Richard Pryor and who's that, the famous comedian that like George Carlton. It's those kind of stand-ups where it's social commentary and the big part is a lot of his jokes are honest and make people uncomfortable. Like that's the big part of the humor where a lot, like for instance, the big joke that got him controversy was the school shooter joke where he's like, isn't it fucking stupid to teach them that shit? That joke is funny because it's uncomfortable. Because it's true. I remember as a sophomore.
Joke where he's like basically he's saying that all the school shooter lockdown drills are just teaching the school shooter how to get around the lockdown
Yes, dude.
drills?
He's like, oh my god, it was.
Yeah, and I remember that joke got. I remember somebody at the. It might have been my assistant Bree. She got mad at that joke, and I'm like, that joke is funny because it's true. In fact, I had a teacher sophomore year of high school where I asked her flat out. I'm like, Miss Camp, don't you think it's a little stupid? I'm like, realistically speaking, statistically speaking, if somebody were to come shoot up the school, it's probably going to be one of us in this room. So you're literally telling me where all of y'all are fucking hiding. And not only that, this year's summer reading book was Columbine.
Oh my god.
Like a 600-page manuscript of the shooting. I'm like, I'm sorry. I think you guys are teaching us how to do this. And it was one of those things where, like, somebody finally made a joke about that. That's why I appreciate his stand-up more and more because he's not trying to be funny. He's trying to bring awareness, but the bluntness of it is funny. In fact, I recommend watching the David Letterman series on Netflix. He has a recent episode. He explains a lot of what goes into his career. Once you see what makes up his stand-up and why that commentary is so special, like you understand why his comments are so revered.
The thing is, he doesn't just like give off all these funny quips like so many of these comedians do, where like they're trying to get a laugh out of you. Like obviously Dave Chappelle is trying to make people laugh. That's his job.
But he has something to say, and that's what's important.
He just has so many powerful things to talk about that are so relevant and just, and as Chad said, just so blunt. And the fact that he's able to weave in hilarious fucking stories while also giving really smart, intelligent and very, woke and delicate social and political commentary and weave it through comedy. He does it in such a way where it's like fucking butter. The dude's a genius. He doesn't write his shit. He doesn't write anything. The only thing he wrote for, obviously he wrote skits for Dave Chappelle, for the Chappelle Show, because obviously that's it's a television show, things are different. When it comes to stand-ups, when he gets up on
they're all hearsay.
When he gets up on stage, like he'll have a few topics in mind, but he doesn't write shit.
How true is that, though? Do you know that for sure?
Yes, no, dude.
Very true. Very true.
People behind him for years. He has talked about this for years. He has been so consistent with his comedy because of that. He does not write shit. And he roasts people. He used to roast people all the time about the fact that you shouldn't have write stuff. Like a real true comedian. Richard Pryor was like that too. They used to just get up on stage. They'd have a few topics in mind, and then they would just go off. There are so many times where Dave Chappelle, if you watch his specials, where someone in the crowd will say something that will trigger him to like talk about something else, like that there's no shot that someone was just like planning to fucking blurt out something, and he goes off on a tangent and ends up being fucking hilarious just because of a comment that someone made in the crowd. Like the dude, that's why the dude is a comedic genius. The dude is just so, his brain is just so well put together when it comes to weaving comedy into such delicate topics when it comes to social commentary and political commentary. The dude's a genius, just plain and simple. It's just he's amazing.
The big difference with Dave Chappelle and other comedians is, especially modern comedians, like all those Netflix guys that get their hour-long specials, nobody gives a fuck about their lives, and quite frankly, like people like Chris D'Elia, even people like fucking Kevin Hart, besides the
Chris D'Elia is also
their
not
lives
funny.
aren't.
He had his moments.
He's
All right, he had his.
He's a fucking
Chris D'Elia got
pedophile. He's
canceled,
fucking
so he's-
he dates underage
he's-
girls.
He's like
But,
what's his face
not only that-
from Superstore. Fuck, what's his name?
I'm just sitting here laughing
Cook?
that we actually say
Yeah,
like,
David
people-
Cook. He
Like
had
it
that
was a verb.
one
Like it's a verb
comedy
they got-
special which was hilarious, and then he just kind of went poopy.
But with like those comedians, like one, nobody gives a fuck about their lives because they're trendy, and two, they have boring lives. What makes Dave Chappelle different is like, you know, he's lived the life. And he's open about his experience. He's not like, oh yeah, I'm Dave Chappelle, I overcame that shit. He's like, nah, man, shit was, and that's the big thing. Where like with him, it's always like like the joke is he keeps it real. And like, but that's really what his ethos is. Like he keeps it real.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I honestly, maybe I just haven't really given him enough of a shot because for me, I'm super, super picky with my stand-up comedy, man. Like, they got to get me within like the first 20 minutes or else I'm not going to start. I'm not going to pay attention. I'm very picky with it. And honestly, I just haven't been a fan of Dave Chappelle's stand-up from what I've seen. So maybe I'll give the show a shot.
I think you should, man. What I remember when I was a kid, my mom would go to bed, and I would be in bed before that, but pretty much, I forget what day it was on Comedy Central, but whatever day the Chappelle Show was on, I would come downstairs after my mom would go to bed, and me and my dad would watch the Chappelle Show without my mom knowing because my mom would not let me watch that show. And one skit that just sticks in my mind, and it's the fucking funniest thing to me, is the Wayne Brady skit where he's like, "Is Wayne Brady gonna have to choke a bitch?" And I'm like,
Oh my god, I love the Wayne Brady.
it's so good because Wayne Brady's just this like nice, great, like all around amazing person, and then you get a skit that's starring.
He makes a big cry
Yup, and
pipe.
it's not even like it's Wayne Brady playing someone. It's Wayne fucking Brady portraying himself in this skit, and he's just this god awful person in the skit. It's so good.
One of my favorite aspects of Dave Chappelle is anything with Paul Mooney. Like I love the Paul Mooney movie things when he was like breaking down movie plots and how they're racist. But my favorite is when he's Negrodamus, and one of the
I was just
questions
watching an
is
episode the other day with Negrodamus. This is great.
So with one of the questions he asked Negrodamus is something with Michael Jackson. And he says Michael should have been a priest, not a musician. Then he would have been transferred. And I lost my shit. I'm like, wait, that's actually true. That's so fucking true. And it was just like those weird like one-liners where like I think the early 2000s was like the peak of like the Hollywood bubble where everybody poked fun at each other. Nobody took beef too seriously. Now it's like fucking if you call out a rapper, you might get shot. Like that's like now it's like it's a little too serious. Even though 50 got shot like 7 times, so I'm like, you know, a hypocrite on that. But besides
there's
Chappelle,
always been beef, especially in the music world. But at the same time, that beef didn't lead to conflict. It was more just about upplaying everybody's careers, and you know, poking fun was okay. You know, people didn't get offended over every little thing because you could understand that a comic could make a joke and it was still a joke. Like people don't get that.
exactly. Now everybody's too offended.
Like if you're a comedian, you can be fearful in a sense of what you're going to be saying on stage and who you're going to be making fun of, because if you say the wrong thing, even if you think in your head it's not, it could be the wrong thing to somebody else. It could jeopardize your career. And in some cases, like you said, if you piss off the wrong person, you could fucking die. Like it's fucking terrible.
And like it just sucks because like it's just there's less creative freedom. One thing I thought was cool, Kanye made one of his first TV debuts on the Chappelle Show.
Did he really?
Yeah, he rapped with he was a big rapper too, but he did a song. Kanye made one of his first debuts on there, and that's what I like. He gave a lot of up and coming musicians like opportunities. Like Wyclef Jean wasn't that big; he was up and coming. I learned of a song just because of the show on Saturday. I'm like, wow! Like the fact that he gave all these black musicians opportunities. The best skit. I'll end my Dave Chappelle rant with this last skit. My favorite skit is the one with John Mayer, and they're testing white people dancing to guitars, and they bring the guitar to the black barbershop, and they're like, hey, yo, shut the fuck up! And they start bringing out the drums and all this shit. Anybody who hasn't seen the John Mayer, Dave Chappelle skit, go fucking watch it. It's so funny. But yeah, that's all I did. I'm playing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order 2, but I'm going to talk about that next week, because I'm currently on the last boss fight.
All right, cool. What about you guys?
I actually haven't watched a movie.
Yeah, neither have I.
But I have
Well,
been.
I make up for the 3 of you then, or 2 of you, I should say.
I have been watching. 24 Hours to Hell and Back, Gordon Ramsay's like second type of kitchen nightmares, where he basically
You
I
fucking
love
idiot.
Hell's Kitchen.
he goes in. If you love Hell's Kitchen and you love like kitchen nightmares, watch 24 Hours to Hell and Back. It's basically kitchen nightmares where he transforms a shitty restaurant, but he does it in one day, and the whole restaurant stays up. And basically what he does is he realizes that when people know that he's coming, they're on their best behavior. So he takes all of the kitchen nightmares backlog of restaurants that have requested help, and then he goes in and does surveillance for 3 weeks without them knowing, and then goes in undercover in a disguise and then catches them in the act. And then after he reveals that he's there, he takes the whole restaurant outside to this fucking huge bus that's actually a kitchen with a big screen on the top, shows all the customers all the bullshit about the restaurant that they didn't know about, and then invites them back 24 hours from then for dinner. And he transforms the restaurant in one day. It's some of the best TV ever.
Holy shit, I didn't know that.
Wow.
That actually sounds
That's
really
cool.
interesting.
One, it's
That's a cool premise.
1080p, which is different from Kitchen Nightmares because that's all 720. It was, that was just the time. But if you watch this one, it's 1080p. The stories and the things that he does are actually insane. Like some of these episodes, my mouth just dropped. And like the last episode of season 3, I don't want to ruin it because it's so great, but the last episode of season 3 is the only episode where he doesn't visit a struggling kitchen because of their own problems. He visits you guys ever hear of Ellicott City, which is basically the town that has Main Street USA?
No.
Okay, so it's Main Street USA. It's that.
Wait, that's a real place, Main Street USA?
Is
I was
in
like,
Ellicott City, Maryland, I believe. But basically, what happened
it was
was
bullshit,
in 2016 and 2018, they were hit by 2 different but both devastating floods, and it destroyed the town. Basically, Main Street was destroyed, and this is a street that's like known in movies, it's known in TV lore, it's known, just everybody in America knows about Main Street USA, whether they know it's Ellicott City or not. And he went to that city, didn't tell anyone he was coming, went undercover to a restaurant, found out that the restaurant really wasn't that bad, but their problems weren't their fault. He goes up the street, goes to every single business, brings them down to the bottom of the street and tells them that he's going to rebuild their city. And then he comes in with the National Guard. They create levees to kind of help stop the floodwaters, and he rebuilds 3 businesses as well as rebuilding the entire Main Street. It's nuts.
That's fucking cool.
That's fucking
Listen,
awesome.
I get emotional with TV shows and stuff. I definitely do get emotional with TV shows and stuff, but I could not control myself watching that. It was some of the
Ty Pennington, you suck a dick. Get on fucking Gordon Ramsay's level.
Not Ty Pennington, but another guy who did shows like Home Makeover and shit like that. He's actually on the episode and redoes all of the window shops for Main Street so that it looks.
Wow,
yeah,
that's cool.
He brings so many people onto this project. It's nuts. That's what I've been watching.
Is that like your favorite
That's cool.
food oriented show?
Yes, I have a man crush on Gordon Ramsay, no doubt. Won't even lie.
See, mine is Guy Fieri. I love Guy Fieri. You guys,
He has a restaurant.
Yeah,
Everyone
I
says
know,
my
I've
dad
been
is
there.
like Guy Fieri.
He's got like 50 restaurants.
do you guys ever watch Guy's Groceries Game
No.
or Guy's Grocery Games? I love that fucking show. Basically, he takes like four contestants and they're all in this superstore, and he just gives them this fucking challenge. Like, all right, you guys gotta make a fucking soup using only things that start with S. Go. And then they have like 30 minutes to make something. It's fucking,
Did you
it's
just say
fucking nuts.
I mean, we were talking about drinking off in cups before, so I mean, hey, just an evolution. You heat it up.
It's just, I love that show. It's very fun. And I love Guy Fieri. He's such a guy. Such a guy.
He's a
What
guy.
about you, Anton? What did you watch?
So I got 3 movies on my list, and the first one is an early holiday special, and that's Office Christmas Party. I actually got to see that in
Oh, that's
theaters
pretty good.
last week with a private movie screening at the new Cinemark in Wayne. So that was fun. It was one of my next to last trips to the movie theater. You know, I have no clue when those things are going to open back up.
Can't
So that
believe
was
you went to
nice.
see Office Christmas Party in theaters.
Well, it was up to a vote with a bunch of people, and they voted on that amongst the other movies. And I was okay with it because
Hold on, what were
I
the other
hadn't seen
movies?
it before. Like Christmas Vacation, Polar Express, Tenet, Toy Story, just a bunch of other Christmas movies.
I'd probably pick Toy Story, but Continue.
Well, why pick a movie that you have already seen 10,000 times?
Toy Story is phenomenal.
Because I just get high in the theater and just relax.
Anyway, it was good.
That's exactly what I would have
Jason
done.
Bateman played the same guy he plays in everything again, so
Yep.
that was nothing.
Exactly.
shocking
A
or
Game Night, in Ozark, and Horrible
Arrested
Bosses.
Development.
Jason Bateman is the pinnacle of a nerdy father.
Just quirky dude.
He just goes, oh, okay, so we're doing that now. Okay, yeah. His whole shtick is saying things and then getting lower and lower and lower and lower. As he says
He's
them.
like one of the
That's
few.
his whole shtick.
He's one of the few. He's one of the few actors in Hollywood that's been like typecasted successfully.
What is he typecast?
Like, I don't
as?
understand
He's just
how-
like a boring man.
As like the quirky
he's just
guy,
a
like as like
quirky, nerdy
and-
father. That's his whole MO.
and it's weird because like his arguably debut role in like Arrested Development for like mainstream success has been just his fucking character in anything he's done in any other movie, and it's just for instance Alfonso Ribeiro from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He couldn't get any roles after Fresh Prince because he was typecast as just Goofy Carlton. But then you have Jason Bateman, who's just typecasted as just a more calm nerdy white dude who's been somehow able to like just write off the success. Like even look at McLovin's character Christopher whatever, same thing. He barely gets any roles that
Vince
are in
class.
goofy young roles. Because of that, it's remarkable to see Jason Bateman still being around all this time, literally playing the same character. I fucking love it.
Anyway, the second movie I watched was Good Time, starring Robert Pattinson, directed by the
good movie.
Safdie brothers.
It's a good movie.
I've really been meaning to get around to it for a while now. Especially after I watched Uncut Gems 3 times in the span of 24 hours over the summer.
Yeah, I don't think it has the same presence of like overall anxiety on Cut Gems.
Nope, I disagree with you so
Really?
much there.
Okay.
The whole time, the whole movie was just, it was the same type of movie. He was just consistent. Like something was always happening. The movie always had you on edge. There was never a moment of silence or a moment of just let's sit down, let's relax. He was always doing something. It was always leading into something next that was just like on your edge type of thrill. It was amazing. And I thought Robert Pattinson was great in it. I mean, the man just continues to do a different accent in every movie, and he does it well. Safdie brothers are definitely high on my list now of directors. I'm really excited for any work they put out in the future, solely because of these 2 films. I mean, they haven't really done much else other than these 2 films. And then the last thing I watched was part of, like I said earlier in the cast, was kind of part of that Seth Rogen and Judd Apatow cast of crew. And it was A Futile and Stupid Gesture. And that is a movie it's a biopic all about Doug Kenny, the guy who co-created National Lampoon. And Will Forte
Interesting.
plays the guy. They have little cameos from the characters of Chevy Chase and Gilda Radner and John Belushi and Bill Murray. They even acknowledge, but none of the people, like Joel McHale plays Chevy Chase in the movie, and they even acknowledge, like, yeah, we know that none of these people look like their real life counterparts, but like, who cares? Like, that's not what we're going for. It was really good. I mean, it was one of those biopics that definitely was just kind of like overlooked. It was like typical, like, oh, it started off when the guy was young, and then it started off with his childhood problems, and then takes you into his upcomings, and then now he's a huge success, and now he's a downfall. Oh, and now he's on a resurgence. It was typical. It was a typical, just best way I could put it was typical. But I liked it a lot just because it was an interesting character. I mean, who would have thought the co-creator of National Lampoon went to Harvard? I would have guessed that. And a majority of their writers were Harvard graduates. So it just goes to show you that National Lampoon not only was, they were comedic geniuses, but they were geniuses and smart people just utilizing their intellect to make funny jokes.
The first
That's
National Lampoon's
really
Vacation is probably one of my favorite fucking comedies, man.
The guy who co-founded National Lampoon, Doug Kenny, he had a big part in the production of Animal House and Caddyshack. He was a writer and a producer on both. But then he mysteriously died right after Caddyshack came out a couple months later. I mean, a lot of people claim he fell.
Mysteriously died.
Well, he lived in Hawaii and he fell off a cliff. But the guy was severely depressed, and when he fell, his shoes and his glasses were on top of the cliff, but the rest of his body was on the bottom of the cliff. So a lot of people think he committed suicide.
Is he English?
No, he's American.
Oh, okay, because in England it's a common thing to be buried without your shoes.
The
but-
joke
or
that
in
Chevy
MIA, it's
Chase
weird
makes
then.
in the film, John McHale's Chevy Chase, is actually what Chevy Chase said in real life. Is that he probably fell when he was trying to find a place to jump. Like that's the joke, saying like, oh yeah, he killed himself trying to kill himself. That was the joke.
That's fucked.
It's messed up.
But
It's a great document or biopic. I highly suggest you guys watch it. It's very good. I watched it a few months ago.
What's it called again?
What is it again, Anton?
A futile and stupid gesture.
Yeah.
What's it on? Where'd you watch
It's on
it?
Netflix. It's on Netflix.
Really? Okay.
It's pretty hard to not miss, or pretty hard to miss, because the poster for the movie is Will Forte with a gun to his head, and the caption of the movie as the poster is, "If you don't watch this movie, we're gonna kill Will Forte." So that was pretty funny.
Wait, what?
So there's an old National Lampoon cover, and it's a dog, and the dog, it looks really super sad, and the subtitle on the magazine is, "If you don't buy this magazine,
We're gonna
we'll kill this dog."
Yeah, dude,
Well,
was
the movie
genius.
poster, they replaced the dog with Will Forte. So.
Genius,
Oh my
man.
god.
Genius.
Oh
And
yeah.
then
I see it
aside
right
from
now.
those
It's
three
not-
movies,
It's not showing as with the gun, but yeah, I see the movie on Netflix right here.
aside
Sorry.
from those three movies, I finally finished Mario Odyssey.
Oh.
Great ending where you got to play as Bowser. That was amazing. And I recently downloaded and purchased the Nathan Drake collection, for all the first 3 Uncharted games. And
That's good. You have a good time
I
with
started
that.
playing the first Uncharted game. I'm on chapter 10 or 11 right now, so I'm getting through it.
Uncharted 1 has not aged well. 2
It
and 3
does
are much
not.
better.
No, me and
Uncharted
Justin
2 and 3 are
like,
phenomenal.
Uncharted
fucking
1, man, you got
sucks.
like 4 different bodies for the henchmen, and then they die so comically and so cartoonish. The first game is not age well, but I'm still having fun with it. But it definitely feels like it came out in the mid 2000s.
2 and 3 are great.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy 4 when I'm done the first 3, but that's not in the package. So
Hell yeah. How about you, Justin? You watch anything or?
Yeah, nothing recently. I'm just so fucking hyped to play Spider-Man Miles Morales. I'll let you know how that goes when we meet up again next week.
Yeah, you're gonna play it this week.
Dude, it's just downloaded. I'm probably gonna finish it within the next 48 hours. Yeah, dude, I'm very hyped for it because the reason why I know for a fact that so I haven't owned a console since I had an Xbox. I bought an Xbox 360 fucking 10 years ago. I just wasn't huge into video games when I was younger, besides a few specific games that I just religiously played. I was huge with. I was originally PlayStation 2, played a lot of the classics on there, and then I went 360, and I haven't had a console since. Wasn't a huge PC guy. I played, the only first-person shooters that I was addicted to back in the day were Modern Warfare 2 and Halo 3. Those are 2 games that I just played so much. I wasn't huge on multiplayer, but those are 2 games that I played so much when I was younger. And Gears of War 3 was another game I was obsessed with. But because of the technological advancements that have been, going on in the gaming, the gaming environment, it's blowing my mind just how big it's getting in all different variations, whether it's consoles like Xbox and PlayStation or on PC. It's insane how much money is being put into the gaming industry. Soon enough, you're going to be able to fucking get a gold medal in the Olympics for gaming, which blows my fucking mind.
That's actually I'm actually glad you bring that up because before I left Montclair, I started the school's first esports team as the club
dope.
sports area supervisor, and that was something that I got a lot of pushback on because shout out to Kyle, fuck you for saying no to this one.
Oh my god.
He was so adamant. He was like, "Oh, they're not real sports, blah blah blah." But then we have this thing called NERSA, which is the North Atlantic fucking student athletics jerk off in a cup competition, whatever it's called. It's fucking stupid. But anyway, they came to the rec one summer. And Rider University and TCNJ started being like, yeah, we spent $30,000 on our students and they won $100,000 the following semester, so we're gonna keep on doing this. And then all of a sudden, the fucking bells went off, and I had to do that. And I had to explain to them, I'm like, dude, the Olympics are pushing for league and shit to be there. I'm like, and that's what I love the point that Herbs brought up of how big gaming has gotten, because it's no secret. I'm a huge nerd. You guys have known me for all these years. I spent a lot when I had a community commute to school as a kid, I had to spend a lot of years just playing games by myself because I lived far from everybody. And it was one of those things where at that time, you know, it wasn't just the fact that I had to be isolated that made me play. It was the fact that playing games like you know, like the way people play games now, if you play games like that, even maybe as back as 10 years ago, you were still a little isolated, and that wasn't by your choice. People just didn't respect it. Like now you see people, you know, having crazy setups on Twitter, like people who know nothing about computers are ordering these crazy computers. People like the investment of it. I actually saw something on Twitter where it was like this ugly whore. I asked somebody, I'm gonna use the word whore. This ugly whore went on Twitter and was like, if I saw a dude with this setup, he ain't getting no pussy. He had a giant server rack. And I'm like, this guy probably makes 6 figures while you're getting nasty pedicures, doing nothing but selling your OnlyFans. I'm like, that's an actual investment in technology, and that's what people like don't realize too. Especially like when you get like gaming PCs or whatever, they double up as investments in technology. A lot of hardcore gamers also end up becoming hardcore content creators because of the games they make, and that's something where a lot of people don't realize. The medium of games, like I think 2 mediums, especially modern times, can directly create artists. It's music and gaming, because those are the 2 easy things you can pick up. Like filmmaking, even making YouTube videos. Anybody can make a video, but making a good video is tough. And when you have something like a game to base it off on, or even like music, whatever, stuff like that, it makes the process into creating new creators so much easier. Like I wouldn't have gone into writing and like set design or even just tech if I didn't take a deep dive into what made games as games, or the fact that like, you know, games started growing with my personality. And now, like what Herb said, to see how big gaming has gone to the point where I think some people are equally as excited for this Miles Morales game as the next Spider-Man movie. That's fucking amazing.
That's huge, man. I'm just like, the reason why I'm most likely gonna, like, if we lock down again, which is, you know, becoming more and more inevitable as the weeks are going on, I'm 100% gonna sell my Canon camera and invest in getting a PS5. I know that, like, you know, Jimmy and Chaz, both of you, you know, obviously, you know, always talk about, oh no, it's better to invest in, you know, PC because you could build on it and all that. I'm just not, like I said, I'm not huge into it. I just want it because
That's different
of the fact
for you though. It's you would fit more in the console generation of video gamers, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
When you're someone like Chaz and I, where we're constantly looking to upgrade and improve what we're doing,
for sure,
PC is where we got to go.
Yeah, no, definitely.
You're just looking for the entertainment, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, exactly. I want the PS5 because of the fact that, you know, I'm obviously, you know, Anton and I are both television production majors. I have always been, you know, fascinated by that industry. I love entertainment through that medium when it comes to film and television. And the fact that I noticed a couple years ago when I started watching some of my favorite YouTubers just review games like they're fucking movies. Like I have a bunch of people I follow on YouTube who don't play video games but will watch the entire playthrough of a game through the cutscenes and then the pivotal gameplays that, you know, are integral to the plot of the story of these video games. And the fact that I found myself like watching those, I was like, why don't I just invest in getting a freaking console at this point? Because these video games are just like movies that you control, and I love that, how cinematic it's becoming. And that's why and PlayStation is just where it's at when it comes to those types of games, because multiplayer would be fun every now and then, but I know I would find myself most of the time looking to buy immersive games like God of War,
like
Last of Us, the Uncharted games, where I just want to be immersed in a story and also, you know, play along with it through, you know, the video game medium. And that's why I'm hyped, man. I'm hyped for Spider-Man, Miles Morales. I'm hoping to get a console by, you know, if these fucking resell values of these freaking PlayStations aren't, you know, arm and a leg to get your hands on them. Dude, one of my friends who flips a lot of stuff, he's part of this company that like they bought those bots that you can use to like buy shit for you, so you don't like.
Fuck him. He's part of the problem.
He sucks. I hate that. But he makes so much money doing it. He has bought so many of those bots, and he took a picture on his Instagram or on his Snapchat story the other day, and it was 12 PlayStation 4s just stacked up on each other, and he sold one on the Facebook Marketplace for $1,200, the disc one, and sold it within a day. And I'm like, the fact that these morons are actually buying these resell consoles for that much money, it's stupid, bro. Just wait. There's these consoles are inevitably going to have some issues. I don't, you know, as much as I would love to have the console right now, like I can wait a couple months. Like it's just, it just blows my mind how people will go out and spend, you know, like people will bump up the price of these consoles by like a third of the actual price, and people will buy them because they're just that impatient and stupid. It blows my mind.
You know what? You know what's aggravating me too about that? Everybody I've seen that's gotten like a PS5 or Series X on launch so far, for the most part, are people who I know aren't fucking gamers and only play sports games. And I'm like,
aggravating.
so you literally only bought this because you have fucking income and you want to flex, but you also know by you flexing this PS5, the bitches you actually impress with your money are gonna fucking make fun of you. So who the fuck are you impressing? Because the real people who want these consoles know to
that's
fucking
it,
wait a
man.
little
I
bit.
didn't burn shit yet.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm
Yeah, like I'm so like I only know 2 of my hardcore gamer friends that got it, and that's because they just got a good deal on it. Like
Yeah,
they
that's
happened to
different.
be in the store when it was in stock. They're like,
Got
fuck it, and like they have like PCs and stuff. Like they're dedicated gamers. But then I see these fucks that like, oh, I got 2K. I can't wait. I'm like, go fuck yourself. You're part of the problem.
See, for me, dude, I'm just hyped to, you know, play this game, get immersed in the story. I really loved the first Spider-Man, and like I said before in this podcast, Insomniac really just like put a lot of effort and love into this game. You know, this is like the fact that you know Sony was able to get this out at launch is, you know, pretty impressive. You know, I know the game's only like takes you like 7 to 10 hours to complete. Like I said, I'm gonna finish it in 48 hours. The big smile on my face. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to get the PS5 over the next couple months, and I'll let you guys know how I feel about the game when we meet up again.
Hell yeah. And so with that, I definitely think it's time to sign off. It has been a very, very long episode this year.
It's like 3 hours,
Yeah,
right?
it's
Oh my
been-
god, we just
it's
hit 3
been
hours.
At least 3 hours. It's been a very long one, so we'll have to maybe chop it up a bit. If you guys have been here, thank you so much for sticking with us. I know there has been so many rants through this episode, but it's been a great conversation nonetheless. So with that, do you guys have any final thoughts, concerns, anything?
Thank you for tuning in.
Herbs, I have a friend who's watching and wants to buy your camera.
Yeah, I was about to message you.
Wow, look at that. Marketing
We'll
at its
talk.
finest.
We'll talk.
That's
All
the
right,
beauty
there
of the
you go.
podcast.
Yeah.
Make some money right there.
All right, so with that, this is the Super Screen Bros signing off. Peace out, everybody.
See you later.
Bye.
Peace.
See ya.